until June 18th. Channel 7 reporter Deanna Williams says outside court, Mr McBride said he would not be stepping down as the court process had no impact on his role as the member for MacKillop.
He didn't shed any light on the allegations before him. He just said that, he just wanted to say that the matter's before the court and that it's not appropriate for him to make any further comment while the process continues.
SAPOL is investigating a house fire in the western suburbs. The alarm was raised on Plover Grove at Semaphore Park just after 9 this morning. The house was completely destroyed and an adjoining property suffered smoke damage. There are no reports of injuries. A court has heard Erin Patterson had a positive relationship with her estranged husband's parents, who died after having a meal allegedly spiked with death cap mushrooms at her Victorian home. Kiara Parker reports.
Anna Terrington, the daughter of Don and Gail Patterson, has given evidence at the murder trial in Morwell, saying there was no animosity between Erin Patterson and her parents. She says her mother thought it was unusual Heather and Ian Wilkinson were invited to the lunch in 2023, but said that it went well and Erin had discussed a medical issue she had with them. Danielle Romaine from the Health Department testified a request to search the state's cancer registry found no record of Erin Patterson having received a cancer diagnosis. A 000 call was played to the jury as Dr Chris Webster gave evidence. He said Erin was reluctant to have her children assessed after eating leftovers, concerned they'd be frightened. He said she understood the importance when he told her they can be scared and alive or dead. Erin Patterson has pleaded not guilty to 3 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder.
The conclave to decide the next pope is assembling. The vote will take place in the Sistine Chapel. Claudio Betti from the Australian Catholic University says no one expects white smoke, which signals a new leader has been elected, to come from the chimney on day one.
Only 1 vote today, and from tomorrow there will be 2 votes in the morning and 2 votes in the afternoon. As it has never happened that a pope was elected on the first vote, but everybody here says that it will take at least a couple of days.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Whether your block's the size of Adelaide Oval or the Gold Square, customise your build with Sterling Homes.
Port's Chris Davies will front the media this hour in the wake of the Willie Rioli saga. The AFL has reopened its investigation into alleged threats the Port player made both on and off the field. 5-time Tour de France stage winner Caleb Ewan has announced his immediate retirement from cycling. Queensland golfer Jason Day has withdrawn from this week's PGA Tour event with a neck injury. Inter Milan has defeated Barcelona 4-3 after extra time to reach the Champions League final. And at the NBA playoffs, a 1-point win has given Indiana a 2-0 lead over Cleveland in the Eastern Conference semi-finals. Now checking 5AA traffic.
Sharman Shelving have moved their showroom next door into the big white building, still at 412 North East Road.
Afternoon at Parafield Gardens, a crash on the Salisbury Highway to McCartney Road. We have some urgent waterworks getting fixed at Darlington at the moment. Main South Road near Brookside Road, just near Macca's there, but no great delays, a little bit out of the way. And do have works at Fulham to look out for. Hindley Beach Road near Tapley's Hill Road. Busy South Road at Edwardstown with the Camry Hillier Road at Ranella. Office works have great tech, craft and personalised gifts for Mum this Mother's Day. So you can say, thanks Mum. Shop in-store, online or via the Officeworks app today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA weather.
Get the Toyota Forklift Advantage. Visit toyotamaterialhandling.com.au.
Showers easing this afternoon, cloud clearing tomorrow and 20. Friday sunny and 21. Saturday sunny and 23. Right now it's 19 degrees. Now let's hear what's happening on 9 News tonight.
In your suburb.
Good evening from Port Noarlunga.
Across your state.
A sombre scene here in Bordertown tonight.
9 News is covering the stories that matter to South Australians.
We begin with breaking news tonight.
South Australian parents urged to be extra vigilant.
Because your home is our home. Adelaide is your city. 9 is your news.
Streaming live via the 5AA Player app on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. This is 5AA, always Adelaide. The 5AA Sports Show. Rowey.
I am flabbergasted.
And Timmy G.
Absolute sports festival.
7 minutes after 4, good afternoon. Well, we knew Showdown week would be an intense one. It always is. But who would have imagined that SA's biggest footy battle this week would be overshadowed by a story bigger than football itself?
So the league is absolutely furious.
It was a fiery game between Geelong and Port Adelaide at GMHBA Stadium. A pretty violent, bordering on horrific threat was made to a Geelong player by Willie Rioli. A lot of players heard it. The AFL has been aware of it for a year.
The third situation that was similarly threatening was against Essendon earlier this year at Marvel Stadium.
The Geelong player who was threatened chose not to go on with it, didn't want the incident reported to the AFL, but Geelong's footy boss, Andrew Mackey, mentioned the matter to Laura Kane.
Now, Geelong and the AFL were in talks last night, and the league state this just categorically did not happen.
Somebody's not telling the truth here.
We're incredibly angry about the situation, and Willie knows that.
Rioli's supporters will say that he was provoked.
They are being provoked to a point that it's investigate that, do something about that, as well as do something about Willie Rioli.
I think the AFL absolutely have got a case to answer for being so soft initially.
This is the same organisation that fined a bloke for impersonating a plane. $20,000.
There now has to be a come-to-Jesus moment. You cannot be going out threatening people in those ways on a football field.
It's what's said on field. If you're going to start examining every comment, then you open up a whole can of worms.
It's really hard to envisage a world where Willie Rioli runs out in a showdown. There is zero doubt that if the AFL knew on Monday what it knows now, then Rioli would not have escaped with a slap on the wrist.
Yes, and welcome to the FIVEAA Sports Show. You wouldn't think it was a sports show with that intro. You'd probably think it's a Law and Order or something like that. But Caro says the AFL were aware of the Geelong incident. Tom Morris says the AFL didn't know. Tim Watson says, well, who's not telling the truth? Eddie Maguire rang the AFL and told them about both previous incidents. And more info each day, adding weight to a very messy ordeal. Rowey, welcome.
Yeah, Timmy, it is. It's messy, it's unsavoury, it's all those sort of things. It's pathetically weak by the AFL if they did know. Now, we're going to get a grab from the AFL CEO, Andrew Dillon, shortly say, well, he didn't. And if Port knew, well, we're thinking we're going to have a press conference at 4:30 and we'll ask that question, or we'll get CD on. If no one else knew, and the round 9 last year versus Geelong and the round 3 versus Richmond game was said on the field, well, I'm with the old school thoughts of that. What's on the field stays on the field. This is about the AFL and Port investigating an Instagram post. Is that what you call it?
Direct message.
Direct message that got handed on from that person. Well, what sort of a friend's that person of Willie's to then hand it on, and we've landed here. My first thought, I think, and my only thought right now and today, after all of this and after 48 hours, is Willie Rioli. He is a ripper of a lad, and I hope he can still get to play on Saturday. I hope he can get himself up to do it, and I hope they allow him to do it. And I hope he plays in the Showdown on Saturday. I feel for Willie.
How much do you feel the football shows and the like and the media around football are just really going deeper and deeper to find more weight to add to this story?
Of course they are. It was one-upmanship all the last 48 hours. So reporter A found out this, reporter B found out that, reporter C denied that, reporter D made you look bad, and we're going to get Carol on at 5 o'clock, who was amongst it all.
Yes.
It's a great question.
It is.
You only got to look in the wrong direction now in the AFL, and it'll be found out.
And I would say that it would be a very difficult one. I know Caro's words were that, it was bordering on horrific, the Geelong incident. Now, if it was that horrific, why wasn't it addressed right there and then by parties involved?
Well, we've heard that the GM of football, Andrew Mackey, allegedly spoke to Laura Kane, the GM of football for the AFL. Now, we've had reports saying that that's not true. AFL's come out and said that's not true. Then we heard that Mackey might have just, in a brief conversation with the GM of football, CD, Chris Davies, at Port, might have just mentioned it in passing. Now, which one of them's true? Which one of them's false? And until we can get the AFL on, and I'd love to have got the AFL on, but they'll make a statement short, and until we can hear from CD, now that changes things for me if they were aware of it. Exactly a year ago, round 9 versus Geelong is a year ago last year.
And you would have felt like whatever that was dealt with at that moment in time, and they would have felt like they resolved it.
Yeah, well, you would have thought so.
The information that we're getting at the moment. One of my issues is, and Sam asked me
before the show started. I said, it's like going to a court of law when someone has been charged. You've got to get every single bit of information, and you've got to have that clarified.
Have you heard of double jeopardy?
Yes.
You can't charge him for a second offence of a second trial now that you got more information. It's done.
What I keep seeing is everybody trying to get their bit to the story.
I know.
They want to grab this. They want to present that. They want to, and I'm going, well, which bit's real?
And who's the poor little piggy in the middle?
Well,
Willie Rioli.
He is at the moment, but he has brought a bit of it on himself because he couldn't put the phone down. Now, we've spoken about that after the Hawthorn incident, and it put some disciplines around the use of your phone 24 hours after the game. As I said, I like that 24-hour rule because I think it helps you to calm down. All of this, you can't shy away from the fact that you've done 2 incidents in 3 weeks, and that's brought this on. This brought this on. So you got to understand that, yes, you can say that, there's the health and well-being, but don't use the phone post the game and you won't have this come about.
Would you say it's a pattern of behaviour if we're going back to round 9 to round 3?
Well, that's what they're trying to build. I think that's...
But if it is, then who's that on?
Well, it's
so I've got a 3-year-old. If my 3-year-old doesn't have good manners to Jody will say, hey, well, Rory, no, please and thank yous.
The AFL is
please and thank yous.
The AFL is the law, aren't they?
Well, they're the governing body.
They're the governing body. And they feel like they make the laws. Well, they're the ones that have handed out all the other sanctions and fines and the like, aren't they?
Mm.
Right? And I heard you say to Stacey in the preview that, then if they haven't done anything, if the club hasn't done anything, if Port Adelaide haven't done anything, then they're pathetic. Now, for me, first and foremost, as a club, if you've got a player in jeopardy, what do you try and do?
You help them.
Yes.
And they're the best environment to help. And Port have a great history of helping. So 48 hours ago, we have 2 statements from the AFL and from Port. You read out Port's, I read out the AFL's. Nothing to look at here. It didn't pass the pub test.
No.
So, no, I'm just saying to you, so the media dig and dig and dig and dig. Well, hello. Now, if he had been sanctioned, now remember, Ken Hickley got a $20,000 fine. Played dress-ups, you got a 4-game fine.
Yep.
Taylor Walker, in passing, makes a comment that someone overheard 6-week fine. Us buffheads that are the pub test go, hey, hang on. So he's threatened someone.
Well, we spoke about this
physical
yesterday.
Violence.
And you said, why?
And got nothing.
You said to me, why is it flared up? And I said, because somebody started to say, hang on, what about the other sanctions?
That's exactly what happened.
So the AFL, with its inconsistency of sanctioning, and for what cause, what issue, they have now made this
made a rod for their back,
almost like a cesspool that's just risen to the top to go, this isn't right.
They've made a rod for their back.
What's happening?
So the outcome that the AFL have had today is a CEO hookup with all 18 clubs to remind them the importance of notifying the AFL when there are incidents in the future, because the league are unhappy they're being held to account for things that they didn't know about. So I suppose in essence they're saying we can't investigate things if we don't know.
And that's a fair call.
Yeah, the league's view is that the entire industry looks unprofessional, and things like this drawn-out Rioli saga reflect poorly on the wider competition, not just the specific clubs, and the investigation's ongoing with the AFL speaking to all 4 clubs again today. They're the reports out of Melbourne as we speak.
Sounds like that was a bit of a moratorium. So they've done a hookup, which is easy. You've got WhatsApp, you've got all Microsoft, you've got all Zoom, all that sort of stuff. Hey, fellas, get on. I'm not happy here. Now, here's a moratorium. Are anyone here else hiding anything from us?
Correct.
Because we don't want any surprises, you numbnuts.
Plus, I know we got Caro coming on tonight.
After 5, look forward to that.
She is the one that actually said that the AFL were aware. So I want to see if that's had some extra light put on it, because it sounds like Andrew Dillon...
Or she retracts it.
Has she or not?
Well, no. But after 5, don't miss that. We're going to put that. We're going to put that to Caro, and we're glad she's coming on for Harvey Norman. But she'll come on. Are you retracting it, or do you stand by that statement? Because Andrew Dillon said we weren't aware.
It sounds like he's just had a hookup to tell everybody, hey, you need to tell us if something happens.
So what's changed?
And that,
or did a reporter get the story wrong?
And they. Well, this is the whole point, and that's what I'm saying.
Exactly
the digging that's going on, you've got to find out what's true and what's not.
Yeah.
And Andrew Dillon obviously not happy about it, because it does make them look bad if they haven't responded in a way that they should have.
But it was specifically said that it was Laura Kane. When are we going to hear from Laura Kane? Isn't strong leadership standing up, eyeballing, copying the questions and whacking them right out the park? When are we going to hear that?
I think this
is another sign of weakness to me. It's just weak.
I think there's some serious behind closed doors conversations going on.
I'm sick of behind closed doors conversations.
For the AFL though, you'd want to make sure you got all your facts right before you start.
Well, they've had a fair chance to get them right.
Well, every day it seems like something new pops up, doesn't it? We've had 3 days of it now, and it seems to have built up to this crescendo.
Yeah. And the poor fella, and again, people, and you can hammer me if you like. My thought is with Willie. He's got to cop all this. And what people don't understand is all the racial commentary, messaging to the club or not to the club, to vehicles like this, the Brecky show included. Stacey showed me all the commentary. We don't walk in his shoes. He would be, at the moment, just copying it left, right and centre, the poor lad. And my thoughts with him. Now, if the governing body was stronger and your club was stronger, and let's wait and wait for judgment for that. Let's find out what's happened previously. Well, then I'm laying the blame at their feet for all of this because they had a chance to correct behaviours, and Timmy, they haven't.
Well, and so does Willie. 100%. He's got to take that responsibility as well.
It starts with Willie, and apparently he's fully aware of that. We had Koshy talk to the Brecky show this morning, and I heard that. And I'm with Koshy there. I'll ask you the question, because I did it with Stacey Lee earlier. I'm old school. What's on field stays on the field. I've said some horrific things, probably to you, Timmy.
I think...
And there was no one-upmanship. I'm not going to sit in a glass house and not throw stones. I was awful.
I think it's more difficult to either prove or... sanction something that happens on field when you are at the heat of the contest. And the heat of the contest has made us all say things that we would regret. I know.
But that's right.
Today I would be exactly in that position.
But there's community standards. So you can't vilify. You can't call someone a homophobic slur. And you can't be racist. We know that. Well, where does this one sit?
And
because I've told people that they can do it to their mother and gumboots and all sorts, Timmy.
I think to Koshy's comment this morning, he was saying it's going to be very difficult because then do we want to start saying, well, hang on, in round 6 last year, you had a fair old crack at me, and now I'm going to bring that up because I'm in trouble.
That's exactly right.
I'm going to dob on you.
And here's the other thing. You haven't heard from Willie. Willie gets attacked verbally every game because they know they can put him off his game.
And I think...
Now, you've got to remember that. He gets attacked.
Definitely.
He gets attacked.
Well, there were certain players that you would... I remember Andrew Jarman saying to me, we used to look at the opposition when he was at North Adelaide, this is that long ago, and we'd say, OK, get to him, you can bring him under, but don't go to him because he only plays better.
The old Steve Waugh rule. Do not red rag to a ball. He'll dig in and you'll never get him out. Don't sledge him.
Don't upset Viv Richards because he'll smack you all over the park.
That's right. But you can get under.
But some people,
Willie Rioli's grill.
Correct. He'll respond as we've seen.
That's right. So you got to remember, you got to take, and I'm with Koshy, you got to take all of that into the equation with the on-field. Now the off-field, the written word's been said and done, and he's going to have to cop his whack.
That's what's made this all come to the top, is that the fact that they haven't addressed it properly at the beginning. The beginning always depends on the end.
Well,
give us a call.
We've got lots of time for your calls tonight, so have your say on this 8223 0000, and we'll get to all the key players involved. We're going to endeavour to speak to Port Adelaide with Chris Davies, the GM of football, at some point during the program. They've got a press conference scheduled, but there's no guarantee that it'll go ahead because the AFL are the ones who'll have to come down with some sort of final decision first. So we'll endeavour to get through the club at some point. Caroline Wilson will join us at 5 o'clock for a special edition, and Jimmy Bartel very soon too. We'll speak to him as this all plays out. And of course, don't forget, FIVEAA locker room tickets to win for the Showdown 57 on Saturday night at Adelaide Oval, so you can still win those tickets tonight on the show, but it's all about your calls. At 21 after 4, get on the phone, 8223 0000.
Rowey and Timmy G on the FIVEAA Sports Show.
City Discount Tires. Get saving now with City Discount Tires. We're offering great deals on the world's top brands in tires, wheels, suspension and parts. Suitable for four-wheel drives, SUVs and passenger cars, including Falcon, Michelin, Pirelli, Kumho, Hankook and many more. Finance options available. Search citydiscounttires.com.au and locate your nearest dealer today. City Discount Tires. We're driven by value. City Discount Tires.
Hello, Frank Walker from National Tiles. National Tiles' famous once-a-year May Mayhem is the biggest and best ever. Spend $1,000 and we'll only charge you $750. Or spend $2,000 and we'll only charge you $1,450. That's right, spend $2,000 and we'll only charge you $1,450. Don't miss the biggest and best National Tiles May Mayhem event of all time. So rush into National Tiles now and save. Conditions apply.
Less pear.
More Pinot.
Less Crom.
More canapes.
Less Marks.
More marquees.
Less Ferrells.
More frocks. This Saturday, skip the footy and have a real ball at the Sportsbet Goodwood Day, home to the nation's finest horse racing, May 10.
More
Morfettville.
Looking for a job or career advice? Don't miss the Careers and Employment Expo. There's over 200 educators and employers. Career advice and jobs for all ages. Adelaide Showground this Friday and Saturday. Free entry. kjex.com.au.
To get an A+ at school, buy your teacher an apple. For an A+++++, buy your teacher lots of fresh Aussie Pink Lady apples, now just $2.79 a kilo.
Are you supposed to be in this class?
Aldi. Good different.
You've selected your block up on the river. Your mind is buzzing with ideas. This is going to be the best river home ever. Raised high, breezes flowing, great times ahead. But first, you need to walk through the Selector Homes display village and let your design ideas flow. Selector Homes have been creating holiday homes for over 25 years, and they are experts in building pole homes. Selector Homes and Building Solutions Display Village, Port Wakefield Road, Burton. Visit selectorhomes.com.au.
You're smart, you're busy, and your time matters. So when that first sign of illness appears, you need answers, not appointments. That's when you reach for Cell Life, the premium 4-in-1 rapid antigen test that puts you in control. Fast, reliable results for COVID-19, Flu A, Flu B and RSV in just minutes. Make the smart choice for your health and family. Insist on the brand that healthcare professionals prefer. Cell Life at leading chemists and Amazon. Cell Life, CELLIFE.
Toolkit Depot has all the gear for every trade under one roof, backed by their price beat promise.
Rowey and Timmy G, the 5AA Sports Show.
On the Willie situation, we're incredibly angry about the situation, and Willie knows that. We've talked pretty sternly to Willie about it and said it's just not on.
David Kosh on 5AA Breakfast with Dave and Will this morning. It is 24 minutes after 4. We'll take your calls on this, 8223 0000. Very soon, Jimmy Bartel, and potentially will cross live as well to the Port Adelaide press conference. It looks like it may be happening very shortly. All thanks to Rossdale Homes, SA's most trusted. Custom design, fixed pricing and total peace of mind. Because trust is a must. Let's check your traffic.
And Parafield Gardens, a crash, the Salisbury Highway to McCartney Road. Darlington, Waterworks and Main South Road near Brookside Road near Macca's. They're a bit out of the way, so not giving too many dramas. Works at Croydon to look out for. South Road affecting Port Road and Torrens Road. With cameras this afternoon, Coventry Road, Cuddler and Hillier Road at Ranella. Get business ready with Telstra Business Internet. It has your business covered with reliable connectivity, network monitoring and specialist business support. Visit Telstra today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
So on Brekkie, that was David Kosh, the president of Port Adelaide, with David and Will on 5AA Brekkie. He's on every week. It's terrific to listen to. He said, we've spoken to Willie sternly. So is that the board? Is it him? Is it the CEO? Is it CD, your football manager? Is it Ken? Is it the leadership group? Is it your Indigenous liaison officer? Who makes that conversation?
I don't know 100%, but I would say it was Chris Davies.
That's what
head of football would handle those matters. Yeah. So once upon a time in our day of Nord or report, your GM used to cover all those roles, and your GM would pull you in for anything off field, or your CEO.
And mine was Wally Miller.
Yeah. So
and he did anything wrong, go and see Wally.
You got to go and see them. So
I had a few of them.
And you would have had a couple of conversations, no doubt.
Nerio Ferraro, go and see Nerio Rowey.
Yeah, I had to go and see Brian Cunningham once, which was a good conversation.
Just the once?
Yeah, just the once. Just the once. I was reasonably well behaved.
You're a goody two-shoes, aren't you?
One can slip, though. Okay. You can slip now and again. You can. Let's go to the calls. G'day, Shanine.
Oh, hi. I'm a long-time listener and Crow supporter from Perth, so I appreciate being able to talk to you both, gentlemen.
Thanks for the call.
I just Thanks. I just wanted to just get it off my mind a little bit. Just this, when we bring in character, I just feel regardless of character, what this gentleman has repeatedly, now that we know, done, is really abhorrent. And we shouldn't be afraid, not accusing you of being afraid, or feeling hesitant to call it out. I'm just not comfortable that he's a great guy. I don't know the man, sure he is, but then advocating for him to play this week, I just feel it sets a very dangerous precedent. As a father or a mother, you'd be mortified if this was your son who did this or was the recipient of such abuse. And so I get that the response to being attacked is obviously not to attack others. And I know the AFL has been very consistent, and that is absolutely correct. But I feel that just should not override what he has done. The moment we start downplaying what he has done by saying, he's a great guy, and I feel it then condones that type of behaviour. Love to hear your thoughts.
No, you're spot on, Shanine, and I think I've been misinterpreted with my role at the start of the show. My first thought and only thought at the moment is...
What you're trying to say is it was out of character for him, but he's done it twice that we know of in written. We don't know about the other ones.
Played with his dad. I know the kid well. When he was at Glenelg, we had a bit to do with him, the state team and whatnot. Played with two of his uncles. I know the kid. So there's a little bit of knowing what he is and who he is and how he goes about it. Now, could have he said those things, all that sort of stuff, but I'm getting smashed for licking his beep. I mean, from people here, from Steve Penner. Rowey, stop licking Rioli's. He said those things. Stop feeling sorry for the poor little fella. Stephen, I know the kid. And what's wrong with having a little bit of care for someone that you know as of and that you hold in high regard? He has made a mistake.
Yeah, what you're saying there is you tried to use the parent analogy where you tell them off. You still love them, but you're telling them off.
Ross Lyon used to always say, don't condone the behaviour, but love the child or love the player or support the player, but be firm on what he's done. That's exactly where I'm coming from.
Shanine's making that point as well.
That's where she's coming from.
Yeah. So great to hear from you, Shanine.
Yeah,
all the way from Perth.
Well done.
Keep your calls coming in. 8223 0000 is the number. 4:30 headlines. We'll continue this conversation next.
The 5AA Sports Show with Rowey and Timmy G.
Let's talk about Willie Rioli.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
There was reportedly a third incident where Rioli allegedly said similar threatening words to an unnamed Bombers player. So there's a bit of form here. Form that the AFL's aware of.
Yeah. Adelaide's leading breakfast show.
This is the same organisation that fined a bloke for impersonating a plane.
$20,000.
5AA Breakfast.
I think the AFL are being very squeamish about this because Willie Rioli is an Indigenous person.
Weekdays from 6 a.m. on 5AA. Always Adelaide. This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Good afternoon. Mel Usher with the 5AA News headlines. The Greens are yet to concede, but pollsters say leader Adam Band has lost his seat of Melbourne after days of vote counting. A father who killed his baby son has been jailed for 18 years with a non-parole period of 13. The conclave to decide the next pope will soon assemble for the first vote. And in sport, Port's Chris Davies is expected to speak to the media shortly about Willie Rioli and whether the player will be suspended over on and off-field threats. Now checking 5AA traffic.
Charmin Shelving have moved their showroom next door into the big white building, still at 412 North East Road.
Delays clearing from that earlier smash at Parafield Gardens, the Salisbury Highway and McCartney Road. Darlington's still got those waterworks there, Bain South Road near Brookside Road just near Macca's, and look out for works at Parkside tonight. Fullerton Road near Campbell Road. Quite busy at the moment. Cormac Road just near Churchill Road North. And we're getting quite busy. Tapley's Hill Road, Glenelg North. Cameras, Rosedale Road, Rosedale, and 7th Street at Gawler South. Try new Wonder 5 Health Star bread with 3 times the fibre for soft white and prebiotic for soft multigrain, both with the same Wonder taste you love. It's the best thing since ever. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA forecast, partly cloudy tonight, down to 7, partly cloudy tomorrow, 20. Right now it's 18 degrees. We'll have more news at 5 on 5AA, always Adelaide.
At Edwardstown Mazda's biggest ever end of financial year sale, drive away with up to $10,000 in savings and go into the draw to win the ultimate New Zealand getaway. Only at Edwardstown Mazda, the #1 destination for Mazda in SA. T's and C's apply.
Here at 5AA, we're all about supporting local. Here's who you can support around Adelaide. ARIA winner Damien Leith presents Ireland Orchestrated. All your favourite Irish songs backed by a stunning orchestra. Her Majesty's Theatre, May 17th. Tickets from Ticketek. Seeking a job or career advice? The Careers and Employment Expo Adelaide Showground, Friday and Saturday. Entries free. kjex.com.au. Every 4 minutes, one Australian has a heart attack or stroke. That's why the Heart Foundation recommends a heart health check. Book it in with your GP today and never miss a beat. 5AA, supporting local business.
Hey Dad, it's me. You're a man in the know. Know a good electrician?
Sure do. Call BMS Electrical. They came out last week and were fantastic. They rewired the shed, installed a new ceiling fan and put 4 downlights in the veranda. Best of all, they arrived on time, gave me an accurate quote and explained exactly what needed to happen. You can trust them. Here, let me get you their number.
As always, you know Dad.
BMS Electrical, where trust is our trade. Call 8274 0100 or find us online.
What makes distinctive homes so distinctive? See for yourself at Hurtle Grove, where you'll find our new display homes, showcasing the latest in design, style and function, where inspiration is around every corner. If you're thinking of building your new home, be distinctive with Distinctive Homes Affordable Boutique Homes. Visit our new Hurtle Grove display homes now, just off Raynell Road, Old Ranella. Find out more at distinctivehomes.com.au.
Every day, for decades, Robert made his way down the 3 steps that led to his pride and joy. A model train set in the back shed, complete with passengers, a bridge, landscaping and stations. That is, until Robert couldn't manage the stairs anymore. That's when his wife turned to Anglicare SA. With some planning and ramps in place, Robert can get back to what he loves. And his wife can too. Anglicare SA, always there supporting people in need.
Toolkit Depot has all the gear for every trade under one roof, backed by their price beat promise.
Rowey and Timmy G, the 5AA Sports Show.
It's 26 minutes to 5 here on this Wednesday. Caroline Wilson will join us from 5 o'clock tonight. You won't want to miss that as everything slowly unfolds with this Willie Rioli situation. We'll go live very shortly to Alberton. The press conference is only moments away. But right now we're taking your calls as well, 8223 0000.
Yeah, we certainly are. Love your interaction. Showdown 57 Saturday, 7:30, live on 5AA. Timmy and I will be calling the game. And on the back of what Campo said yesterday, the stat we'll be looking at, and not deciding it, but one of the factors that will decide the game, ground ball, ground ball, ground ball. If you heard Campo, you went, wow, because, Timmy, you had eyes on you like an owl. Porter number 18 for that, the 18th. They've got to get that right. Crows are number 3 for that, and that's one of their real strengths. And Matty Nick spoke about it in his presser about the midfield.
Our focus will be on the footy, on winning the contest, and we know how important that's going to be. And we understand if we do talk about our oppo, if they are able to get the contest on their terms, that's where their real flair comes in and their ability to score. They're potent going forward when they win the contest. So we're looking at the footy more so and how we go about that.
That is the name of the game, Timmy.
Yeah, well, you're 5 and 3, we're 4 and 4. Your form line should say that you're out favourites. I think I've got margins of 57 points and upwards. So looking forward to asking a few more people during the week how much the Crows will win by.
That's getting under your goat,
and then I will, let's have a listen to the skipper first, Connor Rosey.
Yeah, I think showdowns, no matter what time of year they are or what's happened previously, you always look forward to them. It's a couple of the games that you really look forward to at the start of the year, and the past has shown that form probably doesn't matter too much. Both teams are pretty excited just to get out there and play.
So you're relying on form line, statistics, it's just good old-fashioned, it doesn't matter.
Do this for me. We have Jimmy Bartel on. I want you to ask Jimmy Bartel.
Yeah, I will.
We'll do that.
I'll ask him.
We've got him coming on.
Who he thinks will win and by what margin.
Let's do that.
Yeah, all right.
Because he is a good judge He doesn't flip and flop or emotion.
Last year, he predicted that Port would get beat at Geelong by 180 points.
He did.
Port won.
Oh, hello.
Do you remember that?
I do.
Yeah.
Well, ask him anyway.
Upset him. Yeah, so
ask him anyway. 8223
Very shortly we'll head to the press conference in Alden there. It's just setting up all the microphones on the desk, so that will be moments away. Interesting news today, Timmy, and you might want to have a word on this. AFL.com.au had some interesting news around Zach Butters and his contract, and Port fans will be very happy to hear this.
We can reveal Port Adelaide has presented short and long-term offers to extend him beyond that. So a 2-year offer to extend him until the end of 2028 when he'll hit unrestricted free agency, and then a player option, and this is the unique part, a player option to extend that by a further 6 years to the end of 2034. So it's essentially an 8-year agreement, and he can lock in at any point he wants across the next 2 years to the end of 2028 to go another 6 years beyond that. And if he signed this one tomorrow for the full entirety offered, it's the biggest deal in AFL history.
Yeah. Wow. I got no problems with because I was saying to you, to get an absolute gun midfielder, and you might think, I can go to the draft and get one. I'm telling you, he's ready-made, and he's got the best years of his career coming. So, by all means, I've got no problems with that. My curiosity is around the 2 and 6 and what the 2 is about. And is that a come try and buy because we'll have a new coach for 2 years? You want to check that out first before you run away?
See where you're going?
Yeah, because I can't see another reason why if they know that there's lucrative offers coming from interstate. So how can we keep you just for a sample? And maybe that's what the temptation is, to say sign for 2 and then get another 6. So maybe there's something behind that.
My take on Zach, money's not his motivation. My take on Zach is his comfortability and his connection with the group.
I think the manager would like it.
The manager would. Yeah, but Zach, let's face it, he's a fierce competitor. I think his only driving thing would be for a 2-year and a 6-year, he might be saying to himself, I want to win a flag. Now, I don't know what Josh is going to do, so let's have a look at that.
Yeah.
And I'll know then whether we're launching for a flag. We might have even won one. And you may have even won one. I reckon it's about a premiership window for him. He wants to win a flag. We all do.
Of course you do.
Do you think that? I reckon that'd be high on his... I reckon that'd be way up there.
I would be disappointed if it wasn't up on most people's agenda, especially those sort of players as well. But I think you're right.
It's not on all of theirs, Timmy.
It's not. You're right. Unfortunately, I have...
Sadly, it's not. Go and speak to him.
Yeah, I know I've spoken to a few and you sort of go...
Really?
Different motivation. But I think Port Adelaide are doing the right thing. And don't be scared of that money, because that money will become... In 10 years' time, you go, is that all he got? You know, so... Anyway, for me, I think they're doing the right thing, and I'm buoyed by the fact that they're having a red-hot crack.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's some good news, at least, happening down there at Albert. And while the press conference is imminent, we might take a quick break because it's only seeming minutes away. So we'll come back on the other side with that. The Port Adelaide Football Club facing up to the media on this massive story around Willie Rioli. 8223 00002 is our number if you want to get involved. 21 minutes to 5. Here's your traffic.
At Parafield Gardens, a crash on the Salisbury Highway to McCartney Road. Darlington Waterworks and Main South Road near Brookside Road, just near Macca's and the big Storage King there. Works at Fulham to look out for. Hindley Beach Road near Tapley's Hill Road. Slow at Woodville Road near Russell Terrace. And quite busy at the moment, Tapley's Hill Road, Glenelg North. Cameras, Hillier Road, Ranella, and Candy Road at O'Halloran Hill. Make Mum's Day this Mother's Day with Winton Road, Barossa Valley Rosé, $750ml, now only $17. That's $13 off. Cheers. Legoland. Choose to drink wise. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Rowey and Timmy G on the 5AA Sports Show.
If you want to know what's going on at the Adelaide Football Club,
Listen in to the 5AA Sports Show.
each week Rowey and Timmy G chat with the players and coaches in the know.
Thanks to Sterling Homes.
Whether your block's the size of the Adelaide Oval or the goal square, customise your build with Sterling Homes.
Visit Jarvis Toyota's brand new undercover home in Brighton Road, Somerton Park, and take advantage of savings across the Toyota certified pre-owned range. Enjoy the same feeling you get with a new Toyota at Jarvis Toyota, with all certified pre-owned vehicles tested and backed by Toyota, including a full service history and 90-point safety check. Toyota certified pre-owned in a class of its own. Come and experience the difference at the new Jarvis Toyota, Brighton Road, Somerton Park.
Price, Adelaide's best in heating and cooling, has risen to new heights. Literally, Right Price are now your roofing people too. Same exceptional service, value and quality. From total roof replacement, including tiled roof installation, to tile roof repairs, cleaning and painting. And for peace of mind, a rock-solid quote. So the only surprise you'll get is how magnificent your roof and home looks. Do it right. Visit rightpriceroofing.com.au.
You can get your roof right at Right Price. All right, guys, Mother's Day is just around the corner. Think about it. She's the heart of your home, the woman that loves you and the kids unconditionally. This Mother's Day, give her something that says, I appreciate you. A Temple Day Spa gift voucher. It's a pause in her busy life. Purchase a gift voucher online or pop in and see us. And let's make this Mother's Day unforgettable for her. Now open 7 days. Temple Day Spa. Only in Semaphore. Not just a treatment, an experience.
When you call on LAM to fit you out with solar, aircon or general electrical maintenance, here's what you can expect. A bunch of local, South Aussie Sparkies who care about finding the best solution for your home. They're dead honest and they don't do the hard sales thing. So if you're thinking about solar, aircon or you just need a Sparky, search for LAM. LAMM. LAM Solar. Get a free quote today.
When it was finally ready, it was very exciting. They were all there at Martin Rogers, came out and handed it over, and yeah, there were tears and laughter and everything else. It was fabulous. And it's very emotional because jewellery for women, probably for men too, is a very emotional thing. You know, if you want something that's well made and well done, you have to have it done by somebody that's going to produce that sort of goods.
Martin Rogers Jewellery. Timeless designs, unforgettable stories. martinrogers.com.au.
You wake up with a runny nose. Maybe it's just a cold, but that scratchy throat. This might be serious. A little sniffle can cause a lot of worry. Test for COVID, flu A, flu B and RSV with one simple AHPC 4-in-1 antigen test. AHPC provides reliable results in just minutes and is available in single use and packs of 10 for value-priced family testing. AHPC 4-in-1 antigen tests. Available at leading chemists and Amazon.
Toolkit Depot has all the gear for every trade under one roof, backed by their price beat promise.
Rowey and Timmy G, the 5AA Sports Show.
16 to 5, Caroline Wilson will join us at 5 o'clock tonight. So stay with us. 8223 0000 is the number if you want to call in and share your thoughts around this Willie Rioli unfolding situation. We'll go live to Port Adelaide very shortly. They have a press conference with their leaders only minutes away. But right now, all thanks to Statesman Windows, Adelaide's most trusted boutique window company, SA family owned and operated since 1980. We'll get the thoughts while we're holding of this man.
Bartel check signs it brilliantly.
He can do it all, James Bartel.
He's my brother, man.
Jimmy Bartel on the 5AA Sports Show.
Yes, thanks to Statesman Windows. Every Wednesday we get the great Jimmy Bartel on. G'day, mate.
G'day, guys. What's happening?
Well, what's happening? We've only had one subject matter the last few days, my friend, but there's been a lot said about it. Where are you at with it right at this moment? Because it does seem like there's layers added every day.
Yeah, there is, and I think the AFL would be pretty disappointed. I know we often critique the AFL pretty hard, but if they've honestly only become aware of it, well then you do have the right to change your decision with new information. And it's even when we went back to the Noah Bolter incident, I'm not saying they're the same, they're definitely not the same, but it's just this whole idea of, well, it's done and dusted and we anchor our position. Well, you've got new information. So then reinvestigate it, take your time and come to the right solution. Probably the only question I have out of it, if Port Adelaide was aware of the previous two, why haven't they taken action in the past?
Correct.
Yeah, that question definitely
needs to be asked.
Will be raised. Jimmy, how do you just define on-field versus, say, a verbal versus a written?
Well, it's pretty clear, isn't it? Like, I know where you're going. I'm not dismissing your question, but I think we all understand the rules of engagement on the field, and then once you shake hands at the end of the game, well, that's where you leave things unless you clearly think on the field it is so out of line that you have to follow it up. And I think there's no clear-cut definition, but we've all been around long enough and been in the sporting world, especially once you get to AFL level, you clearly understand where the line is. And if you don't know where the line is, there's plenty of education workshops that help you to establish that.
For me, Willie's showing a pattern of behaviour. Now that's if the Geelong round 9 and Essendon round 3 allegations are to be correct. It'd be very hard if they are to see him play this Saturday, Jimmy.
Yeah, and I'm with you. And if they are to be correct, but Doyle reports the one against Geelong has been reported correctly. We haven't had as much information around, I think it was the Essendon, the other team.
Round 3,
involved. Yeah, so again, we don't have all the information, but you'd be asking the questions of who's closest to him at the football club. Is everything all right, mate? Like, at first you want to check in and see what's going on. Like, you know, we can't just trolley out, they play on the edge and things like that, because I think we all acknowledge, this is taking it a bit too far. So you want to check in on Willie and see, well, what's up, mate? Why this extra level of aggro towards the opponent? Because it's not the first time players have tried to chip away at you because you're a talented forward and you're an important part of our team. So what's happening?
Yeah, very good point. We'll put that to CD and others today as well, Jimmy. Have a listen to this, Jimmy. This is Caroline Wilson on Agenda Setters.
The Geelong player who was threatened chose not to go on with it, didn't want the incident reported to the AFL, but Geelong's footy boss, Andrew Mackie, took the decision to refer the matter, mention the matter to Laura Kane. Geelong felt that it was just something that needed to be put on the record.
Now, you played in flags with Andrew Mackie. We love him. He's a South Aussie. Have you rung him and said, hey, Andy, did it happen? Did you ring Laura Kane? Because that's a big, big, big thing, that one.
No, I haven't rung him and spoken to him about it, but knowing his personality, he gets the game as far as, the verbal barbs that go on the field. He understands that better than most. He was one of the great sledges, getting around. You can ask anybody in the AFL world. Mac wasn't short of a word to the opposition, but the fact that he felt like he had to go through some sort of process probably points to the fact that whatever was said, he felt like, well, that needed to be tabled because, the way the world is, everything is got to go through some sort of system or, through the right channels. And doing his job as a footy manager, something clearly alerted him to go, well, hang on, I have to make sure head office is aware of it, how they treat it, or it's up to them. But, he would know, well, that might be a little bit too far, and that's where it is. And for players who receive verbal barbs are tangled up there, but for them to say something and follow up means, well, hang on, what's going on? But then I can see why the player would back down from taking any further, because they'd be worried going, well, I don't want to really sort of break the old school player code of conduct and dob on someone.
Here's the thing. This is so important if Andrew Mackie did in fact speak to Laura Kane, because that means the AFL were privy to this, because on Monday they issued a statement jointly with Port. They issued theirs. I'll paraphrase it. Look, no sanction, nothing to look at here. Just be respectful with each other and move on. Now, there's such a thing called double jeopardy. Now, double jeopardy is it protects individuals from being tried twice for the same offence. They just can't come out with new material now and say, you're gone. It makes them look weak and incompetent, Jimmy.
Yeah, well, I'm not 100% sure if Mac followed through with the AFL, but he might have followed it up with Port Adelaide. I have heard that it did go either to Port Adelaide or the AFL. I'm not sure whether it went to both.
Okay. But we need to find that out. We need to find, if it's Port Adelaide, well, that makes them look bad, real bad. But if it's the AFL, it makes them look absolutely incompetent in this.
Yeah, well, if the AFL knows, Port Adelaide knows. But if Port Adelaide knows, it doesn't necessarily mean the AFL knows. If that makes sense.
Let's turn our attention quickly to the Showdown 57. The Crows are playing $4.70 to win 40 points plus, Jimmy, and I've had a big chunk of it.
Well, 3 of the last 4 the Crows have won, and I think average margin of those might have been 36 points.
Correct.
So not far off. And the other fun fact for you there, Timmy, is the Crows, in their last 11 games, have lost 3 by more than 75 points. Some absolute easy beat games in that, which is un-Port Adelaide-like. Well, you don't want it to become Port Adelaide-like. And I think I've been telling you guys nearly every Wednesday, ground ball gets, ground ball gets, ground ball gets. They're not as sexy as marks, kicks and goals, but that is a reflection of your spread from the contest and your ability to get out after footy, and they count as a contested possession because the ball's out there in dispute. And Port Adelaide are stone motherless last again. They're getting beaten by nearly 10 a game. If they get the ball from the centre bounce, which is, that's Horn Francis, that's Butters, that's Willem Drew, that's Ollie Wines doing their best work, they're fine. But after that, sides are getting them on the outside. So if they can win it in a stoppage and move it beautifully and then hit up Georgiades, who's one of the best forwards, inside forward 50 as far as mark goes, that's okay. There's a lot of other football that's played outside of those areas.
So I'll add you to my list of people who said Port had no chance?
Yes. Say yes, Jimmy.
I didn't take... Actually, do you know what I'm going to do for you?
I've got a big list.
Come on, Jimmy.
I've got a big list here.
Do you know what I'm going to do for you? I said Geelong, I think last year, would beat Port Adelaide by 187 points.
Did.
They upset them.
Did. That's
I'm
right.
going to say the Crows by 207.
Yeah!
Does that help?
My boy, Jimmy!
Thank you, Jimmy.
It's a reverse positive for you, Jimmy.
You've given me some confidence. Thank you very much. I appreciate
He
that.
just about said the exact numbers as Campo did yesterday. They're undeniable. 8 rounds in, that's your team
Just live
right
by
now.
it. Just live by it, mate. That's all I'm asking.
40 plus.
At the top 8, some people are saying that might already be looking at the shape that will be at the end of the year, but is it too early to make that statement?
I think a touch early. I think previous years you would, but I think the Giants coughing up 1 leaves that 8th position pretty vacant. You look at the Swans' next 5. I know you go way down the ladder. Their next 5 actually looks okay in their favour. We always have a late run from a side in the finals who, once you get past the bye round, they string off 6 or 7 in a row. So not quite locking the 8 just yet.
Okay. Hey, Jimmy, have a great week, mate. Thanks for your time.
Anytime, fellas.
And thanks for your prediction. I loved it.
I love it.
Jimmy, he's our guest every Wednesday, Jimmy Bartel. Statesman Windows, Adelaide's boutique window company, trusted by the best builders in Adelaide. And just like Jimmy, they're elite performers, consistently delivering at the highest level. Need the best windows? See Statesman Windows.
6 minutes to 5. Caroline Wilson's coming up after 5 o'clock. The Port Adelaide press conference is yet to begin. It is still on standby, but it will be not too far away.
Well, it was scheduled for 4:30. It was going to be Ken Hinkley. They've moved him to Friday. Then it was Chris Davies. Clearly there's a lot of action behind the scenes with the AFL doing some more investigations, and he said, we said, they said they want to get the facts, and away they go.
Well, I agree, because if you're in front of a media conference, you're going to make sure you got all your facts.
That's exactly right. So I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay. Well, I've got it set up to happen.
All the mics are ready in place. The boardroom, the power media, communications people are there.
Okay. So how often do you see a presser starting this late after a scheduled presser to start at 4:30?
Not
it is
often,
unusual.
Not often, but I think they are probably liaising with the AFL before they get in front of the mics.
And fair enough, CD's not going to want to get up in front of people without knowing exactly what to say, do.
Because it's being scrutinised to the
nth degree.
Well, I've got several text messages, and I do apologise for everybody that has texted in on the unique homestyle food text line, because there are a plethora. But I'll try and get the various viewpoints and the like.
That's a good word.
From Paul, I'll premise this by stating I'm a Port supporter. I love having Willie in our colours, but in my opinion, most people are missing an important issue. On-field is Port and an AFL issue to deal with. But threats via a carriage system, phone, text, social media, is a police matter. There is a law against it, plain and simple. AFL and Port have dropped the ball with regard to previous on-field issues, but this alleged threat is a level up and due to actual law. Interestingly...
Hard to argue that.
Yeah, somebody...
in the real world.
Yep, texted in and said, hi guys, spent 10 days in Yatala for threatening someone in a text message. I find it very hard to feel sorry.
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
So that is an interesting one coming in. G'day, Rowey and Timmy. If Willie doesn't get an AFL sanction, he'll probably get booed everywhere he goes, and how will that affect his mental health? Of course, you may get booed anyway. Also, he's the only one guilty of doing this, or is he the only player we're hearing about? Sam from Renella, thank you for that. Rowey, this behaviour isn't tolerated in the workplace, so why different on the football field? Bad behaviour is bad behaviour. There has to be a consequence. What example are showing the youth? And thank you. So thanks to everybody who is texting in, and we'll try and keep getting it to as many as we can.
Absolutely right. We can get your calls on the air too in the rest of the show, 8223 0000, and you can watch live on the Morn Team Cheltenham Hyundai live stream. Take a test drive today. Find your perfect Hyundai car, Port Road, Cheltenham. We'll take a quick break for the news, and then after that, Caroline Wilson to join us.
Rowey and Timmy G on the 5AA Sports Show.
Ready for your next adventure? Austrac campers are built tough for Australia's wild landscapes. From the coast to the outback, you'll experience unmatched quality with every adventure.
Austrac campers.
Adelaide's local, trusted and truly connected talkback radio station. 5AA, always Adelaide.
Hi, Brett Ebert here for Mawson Lakes Mazda. We've been doing deals on a huge range of 2024 plate Mazdas, and we've just received truckloads more of them, all priced to clear. These drive-away deals on new Mazdas include free 12 months rego, free stamp duty, and accessory packs worth $500. Yep, absolutely free. All exclusive to Mawson Lakes Mazda. No gimmicks, just great deals. Mawson Lakes Mazda, Salisbury Highway, T's and C's apply.
The gas shop has the longest fireplace in Adelaide. There is literally a wall of gas fire heaters from all the best brands like Rinnai. And they're all fired up, so you can see how good they look and feel their incredible warmth. And the bonus, the team at the gas shop are also qualified gas fitters. It means they can safely install for you too. Heating, cooking, comfort. Turn on to the gas shop. 161 Unley Road, opposite Target.
What makes Ray White the big name in business broking? They're people, like multi-time SA Business Broker of the Year, Brett Buckley, and his team of business professionals. They take a deep dive into your business, finding value and potential, and they know what they're looking for, because they know businesses. They're not real estate salespeople trying to sell businesses, they're business people selling businesses. If you want to know what your business is worth, touch base with Brett. Search Ray White Business Sales SA. Multiple Business Broker of the Year awards.
Australian Retirement Trust. The raw retirement experts.
Retirement?
Yeah, it's like retirement but fiercer because it's powered by a big blue super monster.
Oh. Wait, are you sitting on a monster right now?
Yes, I am.
Oh my, I should probably check my super.
Awaken your super with Australian Retirement Trust. Consider the PDS and TMD before deciding at art.com.au.
At Meals on Wheels SA, they believe there should be a magic moment in everyone's day. So every meal on wheels is nutritious, wholesome, something to look forward to. The Big Brunch is a unique way to share the love and connect the community. You can host your own Big Brunch at home, in the office or at school and help Meals on Wheels SA continue to make a difference this June. To get started on your Big Brunch, go to thebigbrunchdrive.com.
Fusion Clinical Research are looking for people to participate in a study aimed at uncovering and reducing mental decline. The trial results will be used to drive the development of new treatments. People between the ages of 55 and 80 are invited to take part and will receive compensation for their time. If you are interested, find out more and check your eligibility by contacting Fusion at fusiontrials.com.au or by calling 08 7077 6996. That's 7077 6996.
Local news and information first. This is 5AA News, always Adelaide.
Partly cloudy tonight, down to 7, partly cloudy tomorrow and 20. With the 5 o'clock news, I'm Mel Usher. The Greens are yet to concede, but pollsters say leader Adam Band has lost his seat of Melbourne after days of vote counting. Labor's Sarah Whitty is projected to win. Mr Band was first elected in 2010. He became deputy leader of the party 2 years later and has led the Greens since 2020. Peter Dutton has returned to Canberra after his election defeat as parts of the coalition mull a possible split between the Liberals and Nationals. Zach De Silva reports.
Now former opposition leader Peter Dutton has touched down in the nation's capital as coalition MPs jostle to choose his replacement. Mr Dutton lost his seat in Saturday's election and says he'll stay out of the leadership battle now he's no longer in Parliament.
The best model I've seen is where leaders maintain their graceful silence.
Some Nationals members are also floating a potential coalition breakup. Matt Canavan wants the regional party to look at running candidates in outer urban areas. He admits that could cause a split with the Liberals.
If that leads to us breaking up, great, fine.
Other Nationals say separating from the Liberals has not been discussed.
Independent MP Nick McBride has spoken outside court in Narracourt following his first appearance today on domestic violence charges. He's accused of 3 counts of assaulting his wife Catherine at their homestead in the state's southeast in April. The matter will return to court next month. In the meantime, he says he won't be standing down.
I want to make it clear that the court process has no impact on my primary role, and that is I'm the member for MacKillop. My core focus is to represent and advocate for the people who live and work in this MacKillop electorate, and as my job, I will continue to do that.
A father who killed his baby son has been jailed for 18 years with a non-parole period of 13. 34-year-old Ashley John McGregor squeezed his baby son Alvin and either threw him or shook him, then waited 40 hours to seek medical help when he was completely unresponsive. McGregor was also jailed last year for multiple child sex offences, including producing child exploitation material and unlawful sexual intercourse. And Australians are being warned to reconsider travel to Pakistan. India has fired missiles across the border into a Pakistani-controlled territory. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Whether your block's the size of Adelaide Oval or the Gold Square, customise your build with Sterling Homes.
The Willie Rioli saga continues. The AFL has reopened its investigation after the Port player allegedly made threats on and off the field on 3 separate occasions. Port footy boss Chris Davies will speak on the matter shortly. Well, the countdown to Showdown 57 continues. Both the Crows and Port have 28 wins apiece. Adelaide coach Matthew Nix says bring it on.
We've got no doubt that they're going to come out, breathe fire as they do in every showdown, and we hope they feel the same about us. And we also know showdowns, the history of showdowns, how tight it is, the fact that the scores are even.
As expected, Formula One team Alpine have dropped Aussie driver Jack Doohan. Argentinian Franco Colapinto will jump in the car for the next 5 races as part of an ongoing assessment of its driver lineup. And Perth will soon have an NRL team. The Bears will enter the competition in either 2027 or 2028. Now checking 5AA traffic.
Sharman Shelving have moved their showroom next door into the Big White Building, still at 412 North East Road.
In the city, crash Weymouth Street near West Terrace. Blair Athol crash there too. Grand Junction Road near Prospect Road. Lights are taken out there, so bit of a schmozzle through there at the moment. And Darlington Waterworks on Main South Road near Brookside Road. Bit out of the way, so no great dramas there, which is good news for the drive home. Cameras Candy Road, O'Halloran Hill and Education Road at Happy Valley. Securely grow your savings with a great interest rate in a CommBank NetBank Saver account. Search CommBank NetBank Saver. T's and C's and eligibility criteria apply. TMD on website. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Get the Toyota Forklift Advantage. Visit toyotamaterialhandling.com.au.
Down to 7 tonight, partly cloudy tomorrow 20, Friday sunny and 21, Saturday sunny and 23. Right now it's 17 degrees. Now let's see what's happening on 9 News tonight.
In your suburb.
Good evening from Port Noarlunga.
Across your state.
A sombre scene here in Bordertown tonight.
9 News is covering the stories that matter to South Australians.
We begin with breaking news tonight.
South Australian parents urged to be extra vigilant.
Because your home is our home. Adelaide is your city. 9 is your news.
The news and issues that matter to South Australia. Always Adelaide. This is 5AA. The 5AA Sports Show. Rowey
I am flabbergasted.
and Timmy G.
Absolute sports festival. Welcome back on this Wednesday night. It's 5 minutes after 5. Port Adelaide's press conference scheduled for 4:30 is still on standby. There's media awaiting the officials to front the cameras, so we'll cross to Alberton Live once it begins. We'll get back to your calls as well if you want to have your say. 8223 0000 is the number. And we still have your chance to win 5AA locker room tickets to the all-important Showdown 57 this Saturday. So get excited, stay listening.
Well, exactly right. So thanks to Harvey Norman Clearance Centre, cooking appliances, washing machines, dishwashers, TVs and more. It's at 919 Marion Road, Marion. Bring us Caroline Wilson. Oh, Caro, welcome. We've missed you. This Willie Rioli story, it's like a snowball just heading down a hill. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. How will it stop?
Well, it is a mess, you're right. Lovely to talk to you, Stephen. Are you there, Tim?
Hello, Caro. How are you?
Hello, Tim. Look, it's a mess, and Port Adelaide are angry, but I think they're as furious with the process and what's happened since this text message was revealed as they are with Willie Rioli himself. And Willie Rioli is really struggling, Stephen. Port are worried that he might not play again, ever.
Wow.
Because he's obviously been he's been getting counselling, and he was told he had to get counselling as a result of what happened in the Bulldogs game. And he's been talking to people at the club. He wasn't at training yesterday. I would be amazed if he plays in the Showdown. I mean, I hope he does, but I'd be amazed. And I think that at the moment, Port are just trying to convince Willie to stay in the game because he is so disheartened by what has happened. And I've got to say, I am one who doesn't really draw any sort of comparison or line between what has been revealed in the last few days and what happened against the Bulldogs game. I mean, I honestly don't believe that they bear any relevance. People say dreadful things on the footy field all the time, don't they?
Yeah, but it's a pattern of behaviour that's led to this that's been let go. So, Carol, I'll ask you this because you were the first to break it. Did Geelong's GM of footy, Andrew Mackie, contact Laura Kane last year on or about round 9 after that Geelong game about that on-field sledge, if you like, or words that were exchanged? Is that Stephen, a known fact?
It's a good question, and that is what I had been led to believe. I now accept from Laura Kane that, in fact, Andrew Mackie didn't tell her about the incident.
Okay.
There were people at Geelong who thought that she had been told. There were people at Geelong who weren't happy about what Willie said that night to a Geelong player. And there were a lot of conversations the next day between Laura Kane and Andrew Mackie, but I think it was more over the remember the Jeremy Cameron and the concussion, and they wanted to take him off and he wouldn't come off.
Yep.
Remember all of that?
Yeah.
Now, I've apologised to Laura for that, but Laura accepts that I had been given the wrong information.
Okay, because that's big. That's critical, that, Caro. So then the next question
is... So the AFL insists they did not know about this until yesterday, and I accept that.
Okay.
Even Port Adelaide didn't know about the Essendon story that emerged last night. So the AFL, when they had a phone hook-up with the 18 clubs or 19 clubs, I think Brendan Gale was there this afternoon, it was scheduled anyway, they've sort of read the clubs the riot act. They're angry that clubs are letting this stuff leak out. They're saying, if you're not happy about it, you should have come to us. Why didn't you tell us? You have to tell us about these incidents if they're serious enough to create angst among the players. What did happen last year was that Andrew Mackie, the Geelong footy boss, rang Chris Davies, the Port Adelaide footy boss, the day after the game, and Mackie told Davies that there were players, including the player who Willie Rioli threatened, that were not happy and felt pretty uncomfortable about what Willie had done.
Okay.
So it is true that it was serious enough for Andrew Mackie to talk to Chris Davies.
Okay. So then the question would be then, did Chris Davies speak to the AFL and did he need to? We won't worry about that. So that makes it inexcusable then for Port Adelaide to then, when this Bulldogs Instagram post, I don't even know what you call it, DM, whatever he did.
Direct message on Instagram.
Direct message in Instagram, they just gave him a slap on the wrist. I mean, behind closed doors they might have been upset with him, but no sanction. And I think that's where it just headed south from there, Cara, because everyone's going, well, that's ridiculous. that he's got no sanction?
Well, I think the AFL are the ones who've been criticised for not more harshly sanctioning Willie. And in the end, and I've been very critical of the AFL more even than Richmond over the Noah Bolter situation. The AFL, if they choose, as they did with GWS and Wacky Wednesday, come over the top of clubs. They come over the top of clubs. Now, I think what's happened here is that I think the AFL should have probably at least fined Willie Rioli. And, I mean, whether you suspend him for a game, I'm not sure about that. But I think it certainly merited a fine. I think people were so angry about the AFL's failure to act. And you might say it's Port Adelaide, Stephen, but in the end, the AFL is the one who runs the game. And Port might say they have information about what was being said to Willie, that they are sympathetic to Willie, right? So why didn't the AFL act more harshly? And then when they didn't, don't you feel a bit uncomfortable? I know I do, about other players or clubs or people coming out and letting all this other information out. Now, Essendon insists they didn't let the information out about what happened earlier this year. Geelong certainly didn't let the information out, but it had obviously been getting around about what happened last year. But are we going to go down the path now? I know there's a pattern of behaviour argument where all this stuff is going to come out about what's said on the field.
Oh, Caroline, I think you're going down a rabbit hole if you start talking about what was verbally said on the ground. Now, I think that
you go to
the two incidents by that are written, you can definitely deal with, and they haven't. And then there are inconsistencies, and this is the AFL of the varying sanctions for varying acts. There's no structure around that, and it's something that Paul Marsh and the AFLPA have been calling on for a long time to say you've got to get some sort of rigour around that.
You're spot on, Tim, and I think that the other situation too is how these things are policed. So Willie Rioli was due to be interviewed this afternoon by a young Indigenous. Well, I think she has a legal background working for the AFL integrity team, and I'm not sure that Willie Rioli is going to deal all that well with that, given the state he's in at the moment. You know, he's obviously shattered by what's gone on, and as I said, is considering his future. But what I do think is that, yes, there needs to be a structure. B, I think the AFL weren't strong enough. I mean, it just seems crazy when you're fined for giving someone the single finger that you don't fine Willie Rioli, at least fine him for what happened against the Western Bulldogs. I just find that completely extraordinary. I just also want to say again, and I know David Koch has spoken about this, it might not necessarily be racist, the sort of sledging that Willie Rioli puts up with. But how do you define racism when someone's calling you fat and talking about you being on stuff and being on the gear and what you're getting up to with your mates? I mean, I think and I'm not saying the Bulldogs did that, there's no suggestion they did, but he does put up with stuff that's pretty disgusting, and I would say is bordering on racism, even if it doesn't fall under the Racial Vilification Act.
Caro, we had a text earlier that sort of, and I'll just get the middle of it. It just says off-field is on the field if there's an issue, so a verbal interaction. That's Port Adelaide and an AFL issue. But once it is a threat on a carriage system, phone, text or social media, it becomes a police matter. There is a law against it, plain and simple. Is that, do you
I think that's
subscribe to that?
That's the AFL view. I think the AFL agree with that, and the AFL said that to me yesterday. If the Bulldogs seriously believe, and if the player, Bailey Dale, seriously believed he was being threatened with violence, he should go to the police.
Right. And
so
that's
not going to happen.
Did they feel like it wasn't that?
Well, I don't think anybody seriously believes that Willie Rioli was going to send his mates in Darwin around to attack Bailey Dale. Do you?
No.
I mean, nobody really thinks that.
And I know we've been accused of biased here because we've met and know Willie, and we know him to be exactly.
But Caro,
so we know it's out of character.
Let's be honest. It's the most ridiculous thing you could ever imagine. Well, I don't know him well, but from what I'm told, Port nonetheless were filthy. They were furious. They read him the Riot Act. They forced him to do counselling, etc. But in the end, I don't see. I mean, I'm not sure Willie Rioli is super, if he's made a huge amount of money out of the game. What would fining him really achieve? If the AFL were determined to do that, that was an AFL call, I think, not Port's.
Okay, so he won't play Saturday, and
Not looking like it, Stephen.
Okay, and we're just waiting on the Port Adelaide press conference with Chris Davies, the GM of football for Port. Sam, that's still on standby.
Still on standby.
So we're sitting here on standby too, Cara, because we'll go straight to it when we hear it.
Absolutely, you should. But I just say again, the other point, and it is relevant, even though it shouldn't be. I just really hope Willie Rioli plays again, because he is so important to that team.
Oh yeah. Well,
he's got to stop doing this stuff. But I just wonder, it's such a pity that other players know now that they can rile him up.
Oh, I think they've known that for a while, Caro. We all do our forward scouting, and you just got to watch how he acts the week before, and it's not hard. He's been attacked quite regularly.
Yep. And you know, he's got to be better, and he's obviously struggling mentally. We understand all of that. But, he's got to be better. But I just still feel, as I say, and I understand that... as I say, I accept the AFL didn't know. I wonder even if they had known about the Geelong and Essendon situation, whether it would have changed their view. I'm not sure it would have. Well, we'll see. We'll see, won't we? Because
the facts that are absolutely hard evidence are the two incidents that were put on social media, one direct message and one to the public, so the Hawthorn one and the Bulldogs one. That's the facts that the AFL had to deal with. Now, what people have said is they didn't deal with that well enough.
No, and I think you could really make that case. I think that's right. I think they needed to do more, because what happens then is that, you know, it brings out, if you don't mind me saying, and there are some pretty putrid views going around, people who'll say, oh, well, are they going easy on Willie because he's Indigenous? Now, people have said that, and I think that is just completely ridiculous. But I also think that Andrew Dillon and Laura Kane and Stephen Mead, the legal counsel of the AFL, they've been so inconsistent in some of their punishments.
Oh,
and
ridiculous.
This one, forget what happened with Geelong and Essendon, is just another example.
Oh, well, the extremes just at that one club, Caro, you laugh at. A coach puts his arms out and makes a plane noise, 20,000, and Willie does that, and he cops a slap on the wrist. How do we feel about your colleague, and we love him, Eddie Maguire, being the snitch?
He said last night, I rang the AFL and told him. Eddie has many roles in football, and he wears many hats, and sometimes he gets a bit confused.
Well,
I mean, look, he's probably doing it on behalf of his show. I mean, if I've got a story and I want to comment from the AFL, I mean, I'll ring them. I don't think that's necessarily snitching.
Okay. Well, I think it is. Well, he said it on air. He said, I rang him and I said, this is what happened. Now, I think that's downright snitching.
Yeah, but if he was going to go with it anyway on his show, then does it make any difference? I mean, you know, the private phone call, but if you say it publicly, you know what I mean? I mean, if I've had information that I want an AFL comment on and the AFL don't know about it, I'll ring them up.
Okay. We've just got this... Sorry, Cara, we just got this put in front of us from the press conference room. Chris Davies is being locked in his office with Willie as we speak. Now all the head honchos are meeting, so clearly the matter hasn't been resolved. And we're not too sure when they're going to be able to wrap that up, and the AFL give Chris Davies the go-ahead to hold the press conference. So we've got 7, 9, 10, 2, everyone's down there. It's all on standby.
More and more likely that he certainly won't play this week, and as Caro's mentioned, hopefully not lost to the game.
I told you.
Jim, can I make one more point? And I understand this is a deeply complex issue. It really is. But, gee, I wish the AFL would move faster sometimes.
Wow. Jeez. Gee, Captain Obvious comment, that one, Caro. Wow.
No, but I mean it quite seriously. Now, they'll say this is a complex issue. They've known about this now since yesterday. They needed to act quickly. They just needed to not... for the sake of everyone involved, including Port Adelaide, who've got a showdown. Now, I know this isn't about a game of footy, but for heaven's sake, remember the Jeremy Finlayson thing last year?
Yep.
It dragged on for 5 days.
Yeah, that was not
It can't be that difficult. And really, do you really need Willie Rioli to be interviewed?
No.
I mean, yes, interview him, but does it hinge on what Willie Rioli says in an interview?
When are we going to hear from Laura Kane, ever? period, full stop. Don't you think it's time?
She did a lot of media last week. She spoke to The Age, the Herald Sun, and went on Gerard Whateley's show.
Oh, okay.
She was very vocal last week. I think it was all a bit measured, though, if I'm honest. I mean, it was a bit reading from the hymn book a bit. Yeah, I'm not. Look, I think Laura has to be careful, and she's obviously, that job. It doesn't matter who does that job. You're on a hiding to nothing. It's the most unpopular job in footy.
Is she doing a good job, Caro?
She did well. I think she's done some things really well. I think some things not so well. But I think, and I think that it's just been fascinating. This sort of, she denies it was a power struggle, but Jeff Walsh came in to add some experience, some grey hair, as people said, to the footy department, and then she brought in someone without as much footy experience to be her number 2 to take on the Brad Scott role. There is no doubt that a few years ago Steve Hocking ran footy with Brad Scott as his deputy. And now you wouldn't say the experience around Laura Kane or Laura Kane herself has that experience. So,
well, they just appointed a lot of people around her, though, didn't they, this year?
It's rudderless.
Look, and I think the umpiring's been tricky, and then there's some problems with umpiring she's inherited. I'm not sure Stephen McBurney has been the most dynamic leader of the umpires, and people are frustrated by the umpires. I was glad she came out last week and didn't definitively say the umpiring was fantastic like Andrew Dillon did last year. She actually said there was room for improvement, and she made a few concessions. But I still think that, I'd like... I think she'd just a bit more experience, and she'll be more outspoken, and she'll be better. Give her time.
Thank you. Quickly, Caro, breaking story from you. State of Origin back in, maybe Feb next year. Victoria taking on WA and WA.
That is where it's standing at the moment. It hasn't yet been ratified, but I think the view is that WA deserve another pre-season game. It could be Victoria, but more likely WA. As we know, your state gets everything now. It's got that around.
Well, if you do it well, Caro, you got to get rewarded, don't you?
I see the Premier's going to Tasmania to try and fix their stadium as well. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, he'll get it done too.
Run the country, so.
Caro, thanks for picking up the phone.
Do you ever watch The Front Bar?
No.
Oh.
Don't watch any shows.
Oh, no, I'm on tonight, so I thought you might.
I will tonight.
There you go.
Well done.
8:30, Channel 7.
Are you going to neck a big schooner or a midi, or they'll just give you a white wine?
I wanted a beer on the bar, but I said, well, as you know, Stephen, beer is not my drink of choice, so no.
It's a roast and black
certainly not while I'm doing the show.
Nah, well done.
Professional.
Caro, well done. Thanks for coming on.
Great to talk to you again.
Yeah,
see you, Caro.
Good work. Caroline Wilson there with the absolute latest. Harvey Norman Clearance Centre, cooking appliances, washing machines, dishwashers, TVs and more. 919 Marion Road, Marion. Now, the big key for me out of that is the AFL didn't know.
Yep.
Caro said they did. They didn't.
No.
She's retracted that. Now, that's massive for me.
Well, it is, because then you don't have that...
they didn't know.
That other, alleged evidence.
So, Port Adelaide, just before we go to the break, doing an evening session training. I'm seeing vision as we speak, thanks to Channel 9, of Willie Rioli on the field at Alberton. So he's around with his teammates as we speak, kicking footies around. But just with that information you had earlier, Rowey, in regards to what's been going on, Chris Davies has been locked in a meeting all the way through this last hour, is that right?
Yeah, he has. So didn't I say to you, if it's not going to start at 4:30, the likelihood of this happening is it won't. Now, what are we now, 5:30? So it's an hour late. And you're right, Timmy. Why would you go on and face the cameras unless you've got all the facts and you know what the outcome is? They clearly don't know what the outcome is. Great news that Willie's training.
Because you'll be asked all those questions. You have to answer them.
You have to. You have to.
You have to have answers for them. I'm wondering whether, why would they have allowed the media to go in and set up, though? That's the only thing that confuses me, because the media team at Port Adelaide would say, yep, set up, we're going to have one.
Well, I think what happened was it was meant to be Ken's scheduled meeting.
Yes.
And then at the 11th
that was going to be earlier.
That was going to be about 1:30 today.
That's right. Then they said, well, look, let's do 4:30.
Can that, because that's he wants to talk footy.
Of course he does.
And they're going to do that Friday.
That's exactly right. And that's a smart move.
We'll get to your traffic and we'll have some more updates on the other side of this. It's 25 after 5.
Afternoon at Mono Para West, a 3-car crash in Curtis Road near Peachy Road in front of McDonald's with some pretty solid delays. In the city, a crash, Weymouth Street near West Terrace, and Blairathal crash, Grand Junction Road near Prospect Road. Lights at action there, so she's a bit messy at the moment. Darlington Waterworks at Main South Road near Brookside Road, and super heavy at the moment, Main North Road at the Muller Road intersection. Cameras, Old South Road, Old Ranella, and Candy Road, O'Halloran Hill. Mum's the word this Mother's Day at Faster Pasta, along with 2 others. Book now. Every mum receives a surprise gift card, so book now at Faster Pasta. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Rowey and Timmy G on the 5AA Sports Show.
5AA is Adelaide's leader in sport. Thanks to Rossdale Homes. Display villages across Adelaide. Drop in for inspiration and expert advice. Because trust is a must.
4 trains, 4 cities. This exciting Holiday Wonders package allows rail lovers to embark on our exclusive all-train adventure, visiting and experiencing Australia's most popular destinations. Enjoy first-class travel on board the Indian Pacific to Sydney, on the Explorer Sydney to Canberra, and on the XPT to Melbourne, before travelling to Adelaide on the Overland. Delightful touring and accommodation is all included, departing on 9th June and 3rd November 2025. Visit holidaywonders.com.au.
There's one word that should be deleted forever. It transcends language, culture, geography, status, and it doesn't discriminate. That word is cancer, and until we can delete it, we're going to treat it. Lift Cancer Care is dedicated to offering additional cancer services to complement your existing treatment plan. We collaborate closely with your medical team to achieve the best outcomes for your diagnosis. So, if you or a loved one are ever struck with the C word, think of the L word first. liftcancercare.com.au.
For over 45 years, Statesman Windows, a third-generation South Aussie family-run business, has helped home renovators and builders bring design, charm and natural light into their homes. With industry-leading turnaround times, Statesman Windows continues to offer value for money, backed up by great service and advice right across Metro and regional South Australia. For windows when and where you want them, call Statesman Windows.
Windows when and where you want them.
Harvey Norman, your destination for the Google Pixel 9 series. Purchase the Google Pixel 9 128GB for $0 up front when you connect to a new Optus $69 per month SIM-only plan for 24 months. Hurry, offer ends May 15. Minimum cost over 24 months is $1,656. Not available with other offers. In-store only. Cancellation fees, terms and conditions apply. Harvey Norman, your premium Optus dealer.
At Edwardstown Mazda's biggest ever end of financial year sale, drive away with up to $10,000 in savings and go into the draw to win the ultimate New Zealand getaway. Only at Edwardstown Mazda, the #1 destination for Mazda in SA. T's and C's apply.
Can something be mini and something huge? It can, when it's the new Cadbury Dairy Milk Minis. They'll be huge in your house. Cadbury Dairy Milk Minis, 6-pack in vanilla and caramello. Find them in the supermarket ice cream freezer.
Oh, here's one. Hey, you leaving, mate?
Yeah, one sec, buddy.
Okay, no worries. Oh, come on. Hurry up. Hurry up. Hurry up.
Parking turning you into someone you're not? Search UPark app today.
Toolkit Depot has all the gear for every trade under one roof, backed by their price beat promise.
Rowey and Timmy G, the 5AA Sports Show.
And Willie Rioli is really struggling, Stephen. He's sort of worried that he might not play again, ever.
Caroline Wilson was with us just moments ago and had that large piece of news to drop, so let's hope things are working out okay. He's currently live on the track at Alberton with his teammates training. We're seeing some vision on Channel 9's Facebook live stream as we speak. You can watch us as well on the Morn Team Cheltenham Hyundai live stream, but this is definitely unfolding before us as we speak.
Well, the big thing for the
I'm glad he's out there training.
I hope he plays. I said that at the opening of the show, and I hope he's okay. Cara got it wrong. That's the biggest thing that I got out of that. Laura Kane did not know. Now, that's massive.
Yeah, I wonder who.
Let's not gloss over that. That's massive. What about this one? Rowey, Timmy. So every player gets one threat before the AFL react. They're a laughing stock. Well, I can't defend that. Yes, you're right. As it stands now, you can do that once with no sanction.
Precedent set.
That's exactly what we're saying.
The only thing I'll say to that, I'm not sure who sent it in, but the only thing I'll say to that is there's no consistency in the AFL.
No.
So as much as you think that is the
Was
precedent,
that a surprise to you?
well, they can make up a sanction as they go.
But no,
As the great Monty Python said, he's making it up as he goes along.
Well, they did. 20 grand to Ken Hinkley for going broom,
There
broom.
you go. Just depending on the moment.
And the other thing that must come into the equation, 5:30, we're going to take your calls after the break, 822 300 the old double jeopardy. How can he be convicted or sanctioned or investigated or a penalty again after they've already said, well, there's nothing to look at
You're
here?
going to the law of the land, not the law of the AFL.
Yeah, and that's two different things.
Mitch Cleary from Channel 7 has tweeted just a minute ago saying Willie Rioli AFL inquiries remain ongoing. Don't expect there to be any outcome or sanction, if at all, tonight. So we'll see how much further this goes this evening, if anything. And if you fancy a weekend escape with a loved one, we have a really great opportunity for you here on 5AA.
Longview?
To get to Longview Vineyard. This is such a great place. For your chance to win, and you can indulge in some great wine, spa, accommodation at Longview. An overnight stay for two. Head to the 5AA website, 5AA.com.au, or the 5AA player app. You can stream us and get an additional entry each time you clock up each day. It's all thanks to Longview Vineyard and 5AA, always Adelaide. We'll get to your calls straight after the headlines to the number 8223 0000.
The 5AA Sports Show with Rowey and Timmy G. This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Good evening. Mel Usher with the 5AA News headlines. Peter Dutton has returned to Canberra after his election defeat. Body cam footage of Bondi Junction killer Joel Cauchi being questioned by police about his knife collection has been publicly released. The conclave to decide the next pope will undertake their first vote in the coming hours. And in sport, Port's Willie Rioli is training with his teammates at the moment despite the off-field saga playing out. Now checking 5AA traffic.
Charmin Shelving have moved their showroom next door into the big white building, still at 412 North East Road.
At Tramia, look out for crash in the drive home, Glenburn Road and McGill Road. Pretty solid delays through there at the moment. Also delays at Blair Athol. Lights out of action from an earlier crash, Grand Junction Road near Prospect Road. And Darlington, keep an eye out for waterworks there, Main South Road near Brookside Road, but not causing too many dramas as we speak. Cameras, Rosedale Road, Rosedale, and Candy Road, O'Halloran Hill. Panadol helps relieve everyday pain. Not the pain of your daily commute, but for the migraine headache it gives you. Panadol's got you covered. Always read the label and follow the directions for use. Incorrect use could be harmful. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA forecast down to 7 tonight, partly cloudy tomorrow 20. Right now it's 17 degrees. We'll have more news at 6 on 5AA, always Adelaide.
Let's talk about Willie Rioli.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
There was reportedly a third incident where Rioli allegedly said similar threatening words to an unnamed Bombers player. So there's a bit of form here. Form that the AFL's aware of.
Yeah. Adelaide's leading breakfast show.
This is the same organisation that fined a bloke for impersonating a plane.
$20,000.
5AA Breakfast.
I think the AFL are being very squeamish about this because Willie Rioli is an Indigenous person.
Weekdays from 6 a.m. on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Do you live in the western suburbs, from the airport to Noarlunga, and want the very best heating and cooling for your home? Then look no further than Mannix and our big air, solar and warehouse sales outlet on the corner of Marion Road and Bray Street, Plimpton. Buy air conditioning units to spare parts direct from our warehouse, or get a free quote for a fully installed system designed for your needs. All from the SA name you know and trust.
They live in filth, bins and excrement. They carry disease and they want to suck your blood. Flies and mosquitoes, oh, that's no way to live. And it doesn't have to be. With Phantom retractable screens, up to 9 metres wide, they can screen almost anything. Protect your family with Phantom retractable screens. phantomscreens.com.au.
G'day, it's Fitzy here. You know what, I wish my kids would call me a legend, but the actual legends down south are Lamb Solar. South Australia has some of the most expensive electricity prices in the world, an unfortunate fact that Lamb couldn't accept. Lamb is a team of local champions who care about finding the best solar solution for your home. They're honest and they don't do the hard sales thing. So if you're thinking about solar, think LAMM, Lamb, the real legends of the South.
At Barossa Valley Volkswagen, just 50 minutes from the city, you can take what we call a real test drive through the beautiful Barossa. It sure beats driving around a busy city block. At Barossa Valley Volkswagen, we'll even let you take a car home for the night. But just a word of warning, you may never want to leave its side. BarossaValleyVolkswagen.com.au. City service, country feels.
Trust FIVEAA, your local independent SA family liquor store to have whatever you fancy. They've been recommending great wines, spirits and beers now for 50 years. A lot has changed, but you can still discover great labels from far and wide. And they've always been champions for the many great winemakers, distillers and brewers right here. Trust 3 generations of experience. Trust FIVEAA, your local independent SA family liquor store since 1975. 50 years of offering whatever you fancy.
Toolkit Depot has all the gear for every trade under one roof, backed by their price beat promise.
Rowey and Timmy G, the 5AA Sports Show.
24 minutes to 6. We have 5AA locker room tickets to Showdown 57 coming up for you to win before 6 o'clock. So stay listening for your chance to get along to the best seats in the house at Adelaide Oval on Saturday. We're going to speak to Adelaide Thunderbird Taylor Williams very soon as well, but we're taking your calls, 8223 0000.
We've got the Showdown 57. We'll get right into that tomorrow with teams, make no mistake, because this will get sorted out overnight. Tomorrow sometime there'll be a press release. You'll probably hear it on 5AA Brekkie and in the news. Well, I'm assuming
You're
that.
very optimistic, Stephen.
Well, that's a bit quicker than a glacial. But just before we go to the calls, Dave, is there an appetite for anyone out there? I know there is a little bit with me. Willie has sent a private Instagram post to a player at the Bulldogs. That player at the Bulldogs is obviously a friend of Willie's or an associate or a mate or went to school or whatever. He's looked at it and gone, wow, I'm going to show this to the club because this isn't good.
We might.
I mean,
he may have thought it was over the top, perhaps.
Well, okay. Is there an appetite to find out who? Because I think that's snitching. If I send you a private something, it's private, and I like to think our friendship's strong enough that I can talk about it with you.
We're nearly 60-year-old men, so it's
okay.
They're 25-year-old men, you know. So it's a bit of a difference. You know, I would say straight away, I'd go back and say, hey, listen. That's a bit harsh, mate. Do you want to take that back?
That's what he probably should have done.
I would have gone straight back.
I'd love to know who the snitcher was.
Just quickly, the press conference room has been reassembled. There is going to be a press conference by the looks in a moment's time. So it looked to be all the reporters were reshuffling. They've taken the desk away. They've put some stands and mics. So that is imminent.
Stay with us.
Yep. We might get to your calls just in the meanwhile, but we'll go to that live in a moment when it starts.
All right. Well, let's go to David Alban. G'day, Dave.
G'day, fellas. I'll be quick. I rang last week lamenting the current executive of the AFL. They're asleep at the wheel. I've never had less faith in the executive and how they handle matters. And the second one, Tim, the live stream, your eyebrow twitched when Caro ran through the quick timeline of things happening. Bulldogs, obviously what happened there with the message sent to a Bulldogs player. And then I think Caro said in her quote she was uncomfortable with clubs letting out the information about the other two things. Essendon and Geelong comments. I thought that was fairly rich coming from someone who spends all of her time doing her best to get comments and information out of clubs. For her to say she was uncomfortable with that coming out, I found very, very odd indeed.
It's a good call. Thank you, Dave. Keep them coming in. That's a good call.
Yeah.
Hello, Mick.
Let's go to Mick, West Lakes. G'day, Mick.
How are you, buddy?
Good, buddy. Good. Far away.
Just a quick one. Everyone's blaming the AFL, but what I don't understand is, as far as I'm concerned, Port Power are Willie Rioli's employer.
Yes, but the AFL own them.
They pay Willie's wages.
Yeah, they do. 100%.
So, Tim, if you did this, or Stephen, if you did this to a rival radio station's host and threatened their lives and got caught out, as far as I'm concerned, 5AA would dismiss you instantly.
Probably be a police matter, Mick, to tell you the truth.
It'd be. Well, it would be.
Yeah, depending on how strong it was.
It would be. And Mick, that's the real world. And we heard Caro say the AFL were leaning down that path.
We haven't seen what was written, but we're led to believe that it was of a very serious and unsavoury nature. So, yeah.
Don't leave your hotel room,
You're right.
all that sort of stuff. Hey, Mark and Rosemary, we'll come back to you. We're about to get to Chris Davies.
We'll just wait for that. So they're just setting up in position. He's come out. No audio is coming through just yet. We might fade this up. Here we go. This is all thanks to Channel 9.
So there's an ongoing investigation at the moment. The AFL haven't finalised that investigation, so we won't find out any more tonight, and I imagine that this will be addressed finally. So there's an ongoing investigation at the moment. The AFL haven't finalised that investigation, so we won't find out any more tonight, and I imagine that this will be addressed finally tomorrow.
What does your vote look like? What's the kind of intel from the club this afternoon? Yeah.
What was that, sorry?
What's the intel from your end, from the club, yours and Willie's end?
So the AFL have met with both Willie and myself today. They've asked a number of questions of him. Understandably, I'm not in a position to go into the specifics around that on the basis that the AFL's investigation is ongoing, but a couple of hours of talking to the AFL this afternoon.
What's changed since Monday? So from what sort of punishable or sanctionable point of view?
Well, I think probably more of a conversation for the AFL, but I think, in fairness, they're dealing with some things that they weren't aware of contextually, that they're now considering in conjunction with the matter from the weekend.
How's Willie doing?
Willie's, he's obviously out training right now. It hasn't been an easy period of time for him. But he knows that he needed to front up today and answer those questions and do whatever he can to try and move the situation forward.
How do you strike that balance between sanctioning or letting him know you're disappointed, but also supporting the play?
Well, I guess in these situations it's interesting because a sports person's natural instinct is to run towards the person and support them. The opposite position about the way that the Liberal Party are moving away from everything in regard to their the election. But look, and as I say, the club's natural reaction is to move towards Willie and try and provide the right support to him in a moment where he clearly needs some support, but also acknowledging the fact that Willie made a pretty significant error after the game on the weekend in sending the text to the Bulldogs player about Bailey Dale.
Is that I guess crossing a line? Because I know we all know that stuff gets said on the field, and the threshold on that. But from a football club perspective, is that maybe the line crossed when is after a game, after the heat of the moment, a day after, where there's more, I guess, emotions have settled, you'd hope.
Yeah, I think that's fair to suggest that after the game is a more significant issue than things that are said during the game. I think that anyone who has played sport at a professional level would understand that there are things that are said during a game which doesn't make them right, but certainly in this situation it's clear that Willie overstepped the line after the game with the text that was sent.
Does Willie have an issue at the moment with maybe controlling his emotions after games? We saw the Hawthorn post about Hawthorn, we saw the message then. Is that an issue for him at the moment?
I think the challenge that has happened over the last 24 hours specifically is a whole host of people across the industry talking about Willie Rioli without having an understanding of the cultural significance to Willie of different things that happen. And I've actually found that quite confronting over the last little bit, seeing a whole heap of people who I don't think have the necessary depth of understanding of what Willie goes through regularly, having their own judgments before understanding maybe some of the things that sit beneath what Willie deals with now. This is not in any way to suggest that the text message after the game should not be addressed by the AFL, and in fairness has been addressed. The people involved, the Bulldogs, Bailey Dale specifically, have moved through this incident and, as I understand it, are willing to move forward. and I think that's important. But as I say, I absolutely want to reiterate the fact that people should spend some time educating themselves on maybe the things that sit behind some of the things that Willie deals with.
When you say contextually the AFL's been made aware of things, I know you can't go into full detail, but are you talking about cultural issues and that thing that he has to deal with, or are you talking more about what was possibly said to him on the field?
Look, I'm not going to go into specifics, but all I will say is that there are things that hurt Willie that are said from time to time, which people don't understand the context for him. Willie deals with a whole heap of stuff that I'm 100% convinced that you and I don't have to deal with, and that is an ongoing issue that Willie has to deal with, and he clearly has to deal with better at various points in time, but that doesn't dismiss the fact that these things are constantly happening to him.
Could this be knocked on the
Do you
head?
see him playing this weekend? And if not, would that decision likely come from the AFL, or could that come from Willie?
Look, well, yeah, it could definitely come from Willie. I mean, you know, with what he's gone through in the last 24 hours, again, not taking away from the fact that we're dealing with a real issue here. I think it's fair that he will see how he goes after training. We'll work with him. We'll continue to talk to the AFL. In fairness, I've only just come off of those discussions, which is part of the reason why I'm an hour late, and I apologise for that. But this is something that's ongoing right now that I think should be finalised tomorrow. Obviously, from a team announcement perspective, it needs to, but there's still a little bit to work through.
Are you prepared to take it out of his hands and say, Willie, in the interest of your welfare, it might be best if you sit out this weekend?
Yeah,
Given, Showdown as well is such an emotional, heated and emotional.
Yeah, look, that will obviously definitely be a consideration. But again, I would imagine that it's tough just making blanket decisions without knowing the individuals as part of it. I've seen plenty of people have opinions on that, and I respect those. I guess the only difference is that maybe they don't know Willie, they don't know the entire context of the situation, and it's something that the people here on this club actually do, and we are continuing to try and support him as much as we can. If that means pulling him out of the game, then we'll do that. As I say, there's an ongoing investigation, and so the AFL may have a hand in that as well.
Did you speak to Willie after the Geelong game last year, following, I guess, that incident then?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Were you disappointed that, I guess, there was another allegation, of an incident in the Essendon game, given you counselled him before on that kind of language, kind of made, let's say, threat on the field?
Yeah. Look, it's been an interesting period of time because the incident that happened on the weekend, as serious as it was, we found out through the media article, I think on the Herald Sun. The Essendon situation last night evolved. Clearly, we had no visibility of that. In both situations, the Essendon Footy Club, as I understand it, were willing to move through it without any conversation with us. The Bulldogs the same, and certainly my conversation with Geelong back a year ago was far more about them letting me know the context of what was said, but also with a willingness of me to have the conversation with Willie, make sure that he was aware of how the person reacted to that, but also then to take it forward and leave it for us to actually deal with.
Given you knew that happened in the Geelong game and then it's happened, albeit in a different form, could you have taken the step to protect Willie almost from himself and said, we're just going to give you some time because now these other allegations have emerged and the on-field, off-field is being conflated into one, and it's almost as if he's now being hung out to dry in a sense?
Not in a sense. He has, the last 24 hours, I think the pylon has been over the top. Now, that's not to suggest in any way that the issue is not real, but what we're dealing with here, the text message after a game and what is said during the game, albeit they are two separate things, I understand why in this moment we're looking at these things as a pattern of behaviour, but if we were to sanction every threat of violence on the field, I think the AFL are going to have their hands full. And that's not to say it's right, but I think we just need to take a little bit of a step back here and think about what the specific question that you're asking about, whether we could have done any more after the Geelong incident, whether that's something that the AFL are willing to take on, and maybe they are.
More could you do? Could you have done more after this latest incident and almost protecting from yourself? Had you stood him down, or had you said, mate, we're just going to look after you for a little bit, we probably wouldn't be in this situation now. I get it's a hypothetical.
So, but when are you talking about? The incident happened on Saturday, and we found about on Monday. What are we going to? We're going to step him down. So again, I think the people
for his betterment, not standing as a punishment, but as a hey, this is now. And obviously, he had that thing in Hawthorn.
So again, Braden, what I would say there is you're making an assessment on what you think is best for Willie right now.
I'm asking you the question.
So let me answer it. I don't believe that sending Willie away from the club is the way to deal with this issue, and I've made that very clear at the start. We are putting our arms around Willie. He has got an issue to deal with here, but we are not going to kick him out of our club and stand him down for any period of time that would suggest that he can't be around teammates, people who are supportive, for him to sit at home and continue to read the rubbish that he gets constantly on social media.
Do you think we would be almost in this situation now where the stuff has come out if there was maybe some form of censure after the text message? So Monday the AFL, even $1,000 fine or something like that, do you think then would see, the Geelong incident or the Essendon incident surface off if that had happened?
Oh, look, I don't really know the answer to that question. I think the AFL did what they thought was right at the time. In fairness to the AFL, what they did was support the people involved at the Bulldogs and at Port Adelaide, and supported the clubs in being able to deal with that issue in a way that they both thought was appropriate at the time.
Are you concerned? Is there concerns for Willie's long-term welfare, long-term future in the game at the moment?
I think that's a fair question to ask, given what has happened to people in the past. Look, I don't know. I'm dealing with an issue right now where I really want to lower my eyes and support Willie as much as I possibly can. I mean, as I say, he's out there training at the moment. He answered the questions that he could today in a way which I am proud of him for. But what happens outside of today, I don't really know, to be honest. And what I do know is that the club will continue to support him in an appropriate fashion, albeit we certainly don't condone text messages being sent after a game. I'm specifically, as I say, dealing with myself and Willie right now.
Is that talk premature?
I mean, look, Caroline is pretty well connected around the place, so maybe someone has said that to her. I'm specifically,
the Wade, I think we heard a lot there from the Port Adelaide Football Club. We'll get back to your calls very shortly. You can have your say on the back of that, but that is a unfortunately yet to be resolved situation, and we'll hear more as it comes out to hand tomorrow. It is 6 minutes to 6. We'll quickly check your roads and we'll get to your calls after the break. 8223 0000.
Crash at Old Noarlunga causing horrendous delays at the moment. It's on Main South Road near the Ongpringa River. We've got delays back on the Southern Expressway past Beach Road. Avoid that if you can. Brooklyn Park, a crash. Marion Road near Sir Donald Bradford Drive causing delays. Another collision at Tranmere slowing the drive home up to Glenburn Road near McGill Road. Camera at Candy Road, O'Halloran Hill. Freedom's flash sale starts tomorrow. Get 25% off in-store and online, including sofas, furniture, homewares and more. Don't miss out, only at Freedom. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Rowey and Timmy G on the 5AA Sports Show.
Now here's something I'm sure will benefit many listeners. For the relief of pain and other symptoms associated with mild arthritis and inflammation, try Arbor Vitae, like Rob.
Until I started taking Arbor Vitae, I had pain from mild to severe arthritis in all my joints, from my active days when younger, playing rugby league, and then working for over 50 years as a builder. It wasn't until July 2023 when I read an article about Arbor Vitae that I decided to give it a punt, having tried everything else with no luck. Within 1 week of starting Arbor Vitae, I started to notice a difference. I could feel relief from pain. And to my amazement, within 2 weeks, all my pain had gone. And I was pain-free for the first time in probably 50 years.
Just like Rob, Arbor Vitae could have a positive effect on your life too. Arbor Vitae is available now at all major chemists and health food stores. Arbor Vitae, it's wellness backed by science. Always read the label and follow the directions for use.
You wake up with a runny nose. Maybe it's just a cold, but that scratchy throat? This might be serious. Test for COVID, flu A, flu B, RSV and adenovirus all at once with the FanTest 5-in-1 antigen test. The FanTest 5-in-1 delivers accurate self-testing in any environment using a straightforward nasal swab resulting in a fast and reliable diagnosis. Test for all 5 at once with FanTest. Available now at all leading chemists.
Ready for a fresh start in a location you love? Speak with Rossdale Homes. At Rossdale, we specialise in knockdown rebuilds, giving you a brand new home at your favourite address. Whether it's a single story, 2-story or split level design, we'll custom build a home that fits your style, needs and budget. And with our fixed price contracts, you'll have complete peace of mind from start to finish. Rossdale Homes, your local SA builder. Because trust is a must.
Supercars thunder back to the Bend September 12 to 14 for the first ever 500-kilometre enduro. 3 epic days of non-stop fun at the Bend 500. But it's more than just racing. With family-friendly entertainment, trackside camping and full throttle action. It's a weekend-long party. But you'll need to hurry. Holiday Park, sold out. First release camping, gone. But a fresh drop of premium dragway and new trackside spots just landed, so you'll have to act fast. Lock in your Bend 500 tickets and camping now at thebend.com.au.
Look here, look at shorty got back. Should I ask her for a dance? Hold on, there's too many in the wolf pack.
The all-electric Kia EV3, crowned the 2025 World Car of the Year. Awarded for its record 604 kilometres of all-electric range and fast-charging capabilities. The Kia EV3 is your 2025 World Car of the Year. Visit kia.com.au to find out more.
Kia. Movement that inspires.
Toolkit Depot has all the gear for every trade under one roof, backed by their price beat promise.
Rowey and Timmy G, the 5AA Sports Show.
3 minutes to 6, Showdown locker room tickets still to give away on the program. 8223 is the number to get involved.
Yeah, there's a lot of texts like this. So a year after knowing Willie's Geelong threats, the Power Club this week chose to do nothing. Wow. And that was when listening to the presser, I thought, well, who are the failings at? Clearly, Willie, don't do it. Just don't do it. If you've been told don't do it, don't do it. Chris Davies, Willie, or both. I mean, Chris Davies was aware of this round 9 last year. He admitted that on there. And then I want to go on and say, how often does this happen? Well, how often does a GM of one football club at the end of the game ring the GM of the other football club about comments that were made on the ground? I wouldn't have thought too many.
We wouldn't know. We wouldn't
know, but I'd love to know that stat.
Well,
because Chris Davies said, well, if you're going to...
I don't think anybody's keeping it. I don't think Champion Data are recording
but it must have been bad. Would you agree? For a GM of a footy club to ring another one.
Oh, yeah.
I've never heard of it before.
No, I haven't either.
No. What's on the field stays on the field, but not now. Hello, Mark.
Stephen and Timmy, how are you?
Hey, Mark.
Look, I don't think any football club nor any football code is above the law in Australia in 2025. You guys have all week, and not just you, have spoken about something that is clearly illegal in law. Therefore, A, it should be reported to the police. B, the police should report it, and then the court should determine. And listen, I heard what Caroline said. I heard what you said. And I've got every sympathy for the guy. But if the law is breached, it is not for the AFL. It is not for Port Adelaide. Or it's not for the media to determine truth or otherwise. It is for the courts. And what's more, where I think they might have been too cute by half, it is an offence not to report an offence. So all those people like David Koch and all those people who've been saying they know this and they know that could find that they've in fact committed an offence themselves by not reporting an offence.
Yeah, Mark, good points. And it is the rule of the law. I just hope Bulldogs up at the top end, Darwin, this weekend, nothing happens.
Mark makes a good point. I swear, I think the AFL becomes a body unto its own and not the outside.
6 o'clock news time. We'll continue this after the break. Your calls continue 8223 0000.
Rowey and Timmy G on the 5AA Sports Show. Up-to-the-minute news for South Australia. This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Down to 7 tonight, partly cloudy tomorrow and 20. With the 6 o'clock news, I'm Mel Usher.
There are things that hurt Willie that are said from time to time, which people don't understand the context for him. Willie deals with a whole heap of stuff that I'm 100% convinced that you and I don't have to deal with, and that is an ongoing issue that Willie has to deal with, and he clearly has to deal with better.
Port footy boss Chris Davies fronting the media a short time ago in the wake of the Willie Rioli saga. The power forward is accused of making threats toward players from 3 clubs. The AFL met with Rioli and Davies today, and it's an ongoing investigation. Rioli has been training tonight, but whether he'll line up for the showdown is unclear. It looks like the Greens could soon be on the hunt for a new leader. Adam Bandt is now predicted to lose his seat of Melbourne to Labor. Mr Bandt has held the inner city electorate since 2010. Meantime, Peter Dutton says he intends to maintain a graceful silence after his defeat in Saturday's election. The opposition leader has returned to Canberra but won't be drawn on who should replace him in the coalition's top job. Mr Dutton is now a private citizen, having lost his former seat of Dixon. A father convicted of the manslaughter of his baby son has been jailed for at least 13 years. 34-year-old Ashley John McGregor squeezed his 3-year-old son Alvin and either shook him or threw him, causing serious injuries. He and the boy's mother, Rebecca Denton, then waited 40 hours before taking him to hospital. It can now be revealed McGregor was previously convicted of horrific child sex offences, including unlawful sexual intercourse. Well, a state MP has appeared in court for the first time on domestic violence charges. Member for MacKillop, Nick McBride, charged with 3 counts of assaulting his wife Catherine in April. Channel 7 reporter Deanna Williams was in court and says the hearing lasted only a minute.
62 seconds to be precise. Very quick, he didn't have to say anything. His lawyer just asked the magistrate to adjourn the matter for about 6 weeks until June the 18th. So that's just basically so that they can prepare information for the next hearing.
Cardinals will begin voting tonight on who will be the new Pope. Mobile phone signals will be deactivated in the Vatican for the highly secretive conclave as rounds of votes are taken. Father Julian Wellspring hopes they find the right person as the successor for the late Pope Francis.
If we get a man who knows the scriptures, a man of faith, and a man who's able to articulate Jesus' message of love and kindness to all people, then we would have had a very successful candidate.
Journalist and TV reporter Ian Finlay, best known for his work on This Day Tonight and Beyond 2000, has died by euthanasia at the age of 89. He had been unwell for a long time with an incurable cardiac condition. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Whether your block's the size of Adelaide Oval or the Gold Square, customise your build with Sterling Homes.
Port has trained tonight ahead of Showdown 57. Meantime, Matthew Nix says his side is aiming to back up last week's big win with an even better performance on Saturday night. The Crows coach has a plan of attack for the local derby.
The Showdowns are often fiery, I think, because it's such a close clash every time we play them. But that's not our focus going in. Our focus will be on the footy, on winning the contest, and we know how important that's going to be.
Australian Formula One driver Jack Doohan has been demoted. Alpine has announced Franco Colapinto will take his seat for the next 5 races after a disappointing start to the season. And WA Premier Roger Cook has confirmed the NRL is coming to Perth. The state government signing a $65 million deal with the Rugby League Commission. Now checking 5AA traffic.
Sharman Shelving have moved their showroom next door into the big white building, still at 412 North East Road.
Crash at Old Noarlunga causing horrendous delays at the moment. It's on Main South Road near the Onkaparinga River. I've got delays back on the Southern Expressway past Beach Road. Avoid that if you can. Brooklyn Park, a crash, Marion Road near Sir Donald Bradford Drive causing delays. Another collision at Tranmere slowing the drive home up to Glenburn Road near McGill Road. Camera at Candy Road, O'Halloran Hill. Freedom's flash sale starts tomorrow. Get 25% off in-store and online, including sofas, furniture, homewares and more. Don't miss out, only at Freedom. Adelaide's most accurate traffic. on 5AA.
Now the 5AA weather.
Get the Toyota Forklift Advantage. Visit toyotamaterialhandling.com.au.
Down to 7 tonight, partly cloudy tomorrow and 20. Friday, sunny and 21. Saturday, sunny and 23. Right now, it's 16 degrees. Now let's hear what's happening on 9 News tonight.
In your suburb.
Good evening from Port Noarlunga.
Across your state.
A sombre scene here in Bordertown tonight.
9 News is covering the stories that matter to South Australians.
We begin with breaking news tonight.
South Australian parents urged to be extra vigilant.
Because your home is our home. Adelaide is your city. 9 is your news.
Every 4 minutes, one Australian suffers a heart attack or stroke. But knowing your risk is the first step to a healthier heart. That's why the Heart Foundation is encouraging you to get a heart health check this Heart Week. It's a simple 20-minute checkup with your GP. So book a heart health check today and never miss a beat.
If you've seen Aldi's low prices, you may have thought they're having a sale, but they're not. And here's how you can tell. If there was a sale, I'd be talking like this and saying, hurry, on a megaphone while a time bomb ticks and dollar signs flash before your eyes and your ears ring with a cha-ching. But there is no sale, just low prices every day at Aldi. So you can sit back, relax and enjoy the soothing everyday sound of an Aldi checkout. Aldi, good different.
Is your solar system keeping up with your rising power bills? Then upgrade your solar system now with Manic Solar. We can replace your old system with super high efficiency panels and the latest solar inverter technology. Speak to us about battery solutions and eliminate your power bills today. Don't wait. Book a free in-home inspection by calling 1300 Manix or go online anytime at manix.com.au. Solar power from the SA name you know and trust.
Here's a stat you need to hear. Literally, 1 in 6 Australians are living with some sort of hearing loss. It's hard to notice because it creeps up on you, but it doesn't have to get in the way of things. Not if you do something about it now. Can Do Hearing can provide solutions to make living with hearing loss so much better. And your options are almost endless. Book an appointment with Can Do Hearing. candohearing.com.au. That sounds better.
At Edwardstown Mazda's biggest ever end of financial year sale, drive away with up to $10,000 in savings and go into the draw to win the ultimate New Zealand getaway. Only at Edwardstown Mazda, the #1 destination for Mazda in SA. T's and C's apply.
Why do KFC call it a slider? Because you slide right into KFC when they're just $2, which they are right now. A mouth-watering original tender all wrapped up into one FLG snack for just $2. I mean, it's your call. KFC, FLG. Not everywhere and not forever. Pick up only.
Setting the agenda for South Australia. This is 5AA, always Adelaide.
Toolkit Depot has all the gear for every trade under one roof, backed by their price beat promise.
Rowey and Timmy G, the 5AA Sports Show.
8 minutes after 6, 5AA locker room tickets to the Showdown on Saturday to give away in the next 20 minutes. So stay tuned. We'll get your chance to win very shortly. Driving with Dixon's coming up at 6:30 tonight. And to celebrate 10 years of beers at the Beer and Barbecue Festival at the King's birthday weekend, we've got tickets to 5AA's Ultimate Friday Knockoffs. It's on Friday the 6th of June. You'll get VIP tickets. We'll chuck in some beers and barbecue for you. And you'll get private access space to where we'll have a view for the stage and screens to watch Crows in Brisbane that evening. If you want to go along and be a part of it, call now 8223 0055. You could be a great winner, and you can also get tickets at beerbarbecuefest.com.au.
Well, our Thunderbirds are in their quest for 3 in a row. Have had a little stumble. They won their first 2, but they've lost their last 2, and this one by a point, 64-63 against the Giants. We've got their centre and star, Taylor Williams, on the line. G'day, Taylor.
Hello, how are we?
It was a disappointing loss, wasn't it? But it was a slow start, down by 5 in that first term.
Yeah, it was. We definitely didn't start the way that we wanted to. I think we lost our first centre pass and went 3 down pretty early in the game. So that was obviously a bit disappointing and didn't quite have enough momentum to get over the line in the end.
Well, the effort to get back, I think you were 7 down at one stage. You did persist and nearly stole it. So probably the 1 point result was maybe a bit flattering to the way we played.
Oh, absolutely. I think Lozzie Faru was pretty good in the goals, shooting those couple of super shots. I think she shot 7 over the game in the end,
excellent.
which definitely made probably a bit of a difference with what the scoreline looked like in the end. But, yeah, it was obviously nice to be able to fight back and make it so close in the end. But I guess, yeah, disappointing enough that I think we let it get out to 8 or 9 at one point during the game, which when you're trying to, I guess, play SSN and against those teams, that it's pretty hard to come back from a deficit like that.
Taylor, no Shamira, no Thunderbirds. Is that an unfair comment?
Oh, absolutely. I think on the weekend, yeah, we lost, but we showed that we still won enough ball to be able to win. It's not like we, I guess, didn't have enough opportunities to score and win. It was just that probably in attack we didn't cherish that possession as enough as we should. And I think Sammy obviously won a lot of ball for us, but like we showed on the weekend, we can still win just as much ball. It's just making sure that we look after it a little bit more.
Tell us about Sam Marie Visser, her temporary replacement or her replacement.
Yeah, Sanna's been really good. She's obviously been in and around our environment for a few weeks now. Another international has a bit of experience and is super athletic and just brings something different for us. I think we've had such a versatile team for so long, which is really exciting, and she just adds something a little bit different into our group. And just really proud of how she stepped up on the weekend and still won some ball and did really well in her first SSN appearance.
Now, I'm not saying that Tanya's got, ESP or SPC, whatever it's called, but we had a goalkeeper on standby, supposedly for our goal shooter, but I think they knew something was in the air there, Taylor.
Potentially, but I think the beauty of that is when you look at our team, we have, I guess, 5 goalies in our team and not as much cover in the defence end. So with Romelda's clean out and having kind of her knee injury allowed us to bring that in and see what Santa looked like a little bit earlier than we otherwise might have been able to. So convenient timing, let's say.
Well played. Hey, how did Tanya assess the actual result? What did she say about the game?
I think she was probably most disappointed, as were we, with the fact that it was probably a lot of our basic skill execution that let us down. Like I said, we had the opportunity to win and I guess got enough turnovers to be able to score from. We literally just threw the ball away off our own hands, which we probably haven't done that for a while. So I
don't think I've ever seen us as sloppy with our passes at times, and maybe our turnovers were just a lot higher than what they normally are.
Yeah, and I think they were probably like on par with what we normally have. They were just more so the uncharacteristic errors of the basic connection and skill execution stuff, which we know we're better than that. And I guess that makes it that little bit more disappointing from a coach's perspective, that it wasn't necessarily anything the opposition did to us or anything spectacular that they threw out that we weren't able to combat. It was off our own hands, which was probably the most frustrating part as a player as well.
You mentioned Lauren Frew. I just think she's growing with confidence. Each game getting better and better. And like you said, she can shoot those 2-pointers in those crucial moments.
Yeah, absolutely. She's been so good. Obviously, last year was her first year at this level, and she's only going to get better. She's still so young, and I guess having a year under her belt and another pre-season gives her, I guess, that bit more confidence and a bit more experience out in the court to be able to take those twos, and we back her in 100%. So, finding her feet, and she's been doing that really well for us.
Firebirds away. They also are on 2-2, so she's a pretty important game to get up on them.
Oh, absolutely. I think when you look at the ladder at the moment, there's quite a few teams in that middle kind of section all on the same amount of points, and off the back of what we put out there last week, we definitely want to show that we're a lot better than that and set the start of the season off a little bit better than we have so far. So, yeah, it's definitely really important for us to get back out there and show that we're better than what we did on the weekend.
Well, Taylor, 10 games to go. I reckon you can make amends, and starting this week against the Firebirds. Good luck.
Absolutely, me too. Thank you.
All the best. Taylor Williams, centre for the Adelaide Thunderbirds, of course, a dual premiership player, looking to go 3 in a row. Like I said, 10 games to go, but a little shaky start, 2-2 at the moment.
That's all right. We'll get back on the winners list very soon. 15 minutes after 6. Let's get you off to the FIVEAA locker room.
Timmy G.
Oh, you've been hanging out all night for this. We thank you for your patience. There's been a lot going on indeed, but it's time to talk about the showdown. Let's get you there to the FIVEAA locker room. Reserve seating. You have a continuous 5-hour beverage package. There's food, there's drink. It's going to be an amazing time. Call in now if you want to play 8223 0055.
The FIVEAA Sports Show with Rowey and Timmy G.
Each week on the FIVEAA Sports Show, Rowey and Timmy invite some of their pals from the world of sport onto the show for a chat. Thanks to Pals, Parafield Airport Liquor, home of the hardest to find wines, beers and spirits. Life's better with your pals.
Big news! The 2024 plate clearance sale is on at Austrac Campers. Save up to $11,000 on hybrid campers, plus get a bonus 3.3 kVA generator and 200-watt solar panel with every purchase.
Austrac.
Campers. Limited stock, don't miss out.
Get a Toyota forklift.
Deliver more with Toyota, the world's #1 forklift brand. Choose from a great range including pallet jacks, walkie stackers and reach forklifts, right up to their leading Toyota counterbalance forklifts. Legendary reliability and safety with cleaner, greener electric options. Toyota can tailor the right forklift solution for you. It's all part of the Toyota Forklift Advantage. For more, visit toyotamaterialhandling.com.au.
Get a Toyota forklift.
There's a lot to love about learning just about anything you want with WEA. Just name it. And remember, it's real-time, face-to-face learning, so you'll always get answers to your questions. WEA has 22 language courses on offer and over 80 cooking and wine appreciation courses. You can learn about canine nutrition for better health, self-defense for women, or DIY wedding flowers and fun with floral art. For face-to-face learning you'll love, visit wea-sa.com.au.
Looking to make your next move in life? Now is the time to invest in you. With a range of amenities, an active community, and a supportive environment that feels like home, Keaton Retirement Villages are a place where you can thrive. Choose the best fit for your lifestyle from our 4 retirement communities across South Australia. Visit keaton.com.au to learn more. Keaton, a confident choice.
Hi, I'm Steve Wormald from Walco Liners and Covers out at Paraka. We're a manufacturing business. We'd never done radio. Contacted FIVEAA and were teed up with James Wellham. After I touched base with James, we had a meeting. We also got hooked up with Creative from FIVEAA. I had a strategy on timing of the ads. I didn't have really any clue on the content of the ad. So Creative, and I was trusting. I don't know anything about content, and I just said, go for your life. Do whatever you want. And I think you've got to do that. When you come to AA, Creative, let them do their job, which is exactly what we did. We just went, go for it.
To get your message out there and grow your business, visit fiveaa.com.au and hit the Advertise With Us link for more information.
Every 4 minutes, one Australian suffers a heart attack or stroke. But knowing your risk is the first step to a healthier heart. That's why the Heart Foundation is encouraging you to get a heart health check this Heart Week. It's a simple 20-minute checkup with your GP. So book a heart health check today and never miss a beat.
Toolkit Depot has all the gear for every trade under one roof, backed by their price beat promise.
Rowey and Timmy G, the FIVEAA Sports Show.
It's 19 minutes after 6. Very soon, Driving with Dixon with Charlie Dixon. That's at 6:30 tonight. We'll keep taking your calls as well, 8223 0000. But as we love to do in Showdown Week, we want to get to the best seats in the house.
Timmy G.
And we have FIVEAA locker room tickets to give away. Timmy G, how are we playing this tonight?
All right, what we do is we play a piece of commentary. We then want to know what happens next. Now, this is a Port Adelaide showdown where they win. So have a listen, Alexis.
Tackle
pressure from Need. He's ready in the pocket.
Okay, that is difficult.
He's ready in the pocket, Alexis. Who's ready in the pocket and what's he do?
Gray kicks the goal.
Gray kicks the goal.
Well, you know what?
What?
It's actually right. That's amazing.
Alexis, tell your husband to just back away from the phone a little bit. I heard him as plain as day.
Yep.
Robbie Gray kicks a goal. Wow, he's good. What's your husband's name?
Jacob.
Jacob, he was brilliant, and he got it. It was the great Robbie Gray. He kicked 5 goals in the third quarter of the Round 8 2018 Showdown win. It was quite an incredible moment. Have a listen.
Tackle pressure from Need. He's ready in the pocket. Here we go for 5 in a corner. Robbie! Let him entertain you!
Now, tell me, Alexis, you've won these tickets, 2 tickets into the FIVEAA locker room where you get fed, you get a 5-hour beverage package, great view into the change rooms. Tell me you're not taking Jacob with you. You're taking somebody else.
It's a tough choice, but yeah, I think I'll take Jacob.
I think he deserves it, Alexis. It was a great guess. Hey, congratulations. You'll have a ball.
Thank you so much.
Well done. Congratulations there to Alexis and Jacob. They got that right. First cab off the rank.
Well done. Another chance for you to win tomorrow as Port Adelaide and the Crows in Showdown 57. It's at Adelaide Oval and you can book your tickets at portadelaidefc.com.au. So as we've been wading through this program, it's been very heavy around Willie Rioli, and as to be expected, Chris Davies spoke to the media. It was a 4:30 scheduled press conference. We didn't hear from him until about 5:30. 40, yeah.
It was about an hour and a bit late.
Yeah, so a very long one. Just so some dot points from it for those who have missed out, maybe jumped in the car or just switched their radio on. No resolution as yet from the AFL. The investigation is still ongoing. They're expecting to finalise things tomorrow before team selections are submitted, because that's pretty important, whether Willie will play or not. It's already suggested from Chris Davies that they will continue to allow Willie to be involved in the program. They don't want him to step away at this stage. Tonight. He did train tonight with teammates. AFL have been in a meeting and have spoken with Willie Rioli today, along with Port Adelaide. The club won't force him to step aside, and that's all we have to this point. This is just quickly a little bit from Chris Davies.
I don't believe that sending Willie away from the club is the way to deal with this issue. And I've made that very clear at the start. We are putting our arms around Willie. He has got an issue to deal with here, but we are not going to kick him out of our club and stand him down for any period of time that would suggest that he can't be around teammates, people who are supportive, for him to sit at home and continue to read the rubbish that he gets constantly on social media.
Chris Davies, the GM of football at Port Adelaide. So from what you heard tonight, Timmy, what were your overall assessments?
Firstly, I think on the back of that comment that Chris made right there and then, I think I'd be educating Willie on saying if you are having those sorts of things thrown at you, then you've got to call it out. So don't take it upon yourself to get onto the phone post-game and send out messages like you have. We need you to call it out right there and then. Now, go straight to an umpire if it's on the field. If you're at a break, talk to coaches and or support staff there. And post-game, if you're still feeling it, get to Chris Davies and the like, and let the system take hold of it and try and take that away from you, that burden away from you. Don't get on the phone post-game in social media, and once you write something down, I mean, that's the evidence of, whatever you're feeling at that time. And that's why I've always said, don't write angry. There was an old saying years ago, if you write a letter in anger, leave it on the kitchen table, come out in the morning and read it again and think, should I send it? No. And you give yourself that opportunity. And that's what I would feel, that's what I'd be advising right now, because you can't make 2 wrongs a right, okay? And I know Homer Simpson said, yes, you can, Lisa. You can't. You can't,
You're
okay?
Right.
So you can't make 2 wrongs a right. So don't, perhaps if you've been abused, don't then go and abuse somebody else, because it doesn't make it right. It puts you in trouble, and that's where he's at right now.
Very good lesson indeed. The press conference from Chris Davies, he also admitted that the Geelong GM, Andrew Mackie, spoke after round 9 last year to Chris Davies, specifically referencing the impact that Willie Rioli's comments had on the field to Brad Close, which again have been reported in the last 24 hours.
We haven't been. It hasn't been reported what was said.
No, but it has been reported that
the impact that it had.
Correct, and that's in line with the third report, which came about last night too, that there was an instance in round 3 against Essendon.
Now, the AFL saying they only knew about the 2 written ones, which has been in the last 3 weeks.
That's right.
So they didn't know about the Geelong one
postings
prior. So let's go to Aldinga and talk to Alex. G'day, Alex.
Hey, boys.
Yeah, all right, buddy.
I was just thinking the new session that you could have. A shoe on the other foot. So what would happen if the shoe was on the other foot?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Keep going.
Well, I mean, what would happen if Willie got these threats?
Yeah, well, that's right. That's right, Alex. I was just explaining right there and then that if he is feeling threatened or he's being threatened, then he's got to report it straight away, and he hasn't done that, Alex. He's probably felt that he has to take it on himself, which is, unfortunately backfired.
Indeed. And it's just so sad that we're talking about this instead of the showdown.
Exactly right,
Alex. Please, hallelujah to you, because I've been thinking the exact same thing. We're here Wednesday night, and what is, showdowns are always a game to look forward to and with much anticipation, and we've had to take that focus away. And I for one, will promise to our listeners we will be on board back into footy tomorrow night.
Yes.
Sam, can you help me with that?
Well, we'll get a decision tomorrow, and hopefully that's the full stop that this story deserves, because it is rolling on a lot too much. Let's go to Ulibarri. Hi, Rosemary.
Hi, guys. I'll be very quick, but please let me just get through what I want to say. Firstly, to put your arms around someone, like Koshy was this morning and Chris this afternoon, if there is nothing that shows some something that he has to pay a little bit of hurt for, that everyone can say, well, he wasn't treated differently. What they're doing by just putting an arm around it and just waving over it and saying, oh, yes, but he gets this. And, oh, it's not really racism. Oh, yes, it is. If someone says he's fat, that's their culture. That's racism. Culture isn't racism, okay? That's not being racist. That's a culture. It's the same as religion type of thing, Now, Stephen, next, please don't call someone a snitch. That sounded so horrible what you said, but that's why people don't report things, because of fear that someone's going to label them as a snitch. If he was found out, that person, whoever did report it, must have felt so bad about it that he had to go and say something. So please change your language. Otherwise, if something happened, how do you think that poor lad would feel?
There's been a few texts supporting that as well, Rosemary. And yes, what would you say? The wrong word to use to describe it.
And to be on this story so far, because it has been such a long and very personal story, Caroline Wilson had this to report with us at 5 o'clock tonight.
And Willie Rioli is really struggling, Stephen. He's sort of worried that he might not play again, ever.
Let's just hope that we see him playing footy still. It was great to see him training today. That means he has an intent to want to still be involved and play, but that is a really sad reality that may be kicking in here.
Well, and if he does play, what happens? I'm probably concerned about the way the crowd responds and the like to him in the game. So it's a game that's full of volatility anyway. I just hope that there are no incidents around it because of this, if he does play at all. So we'll just wait on that one, but we'll be able to discuss lineups and the like tomorrow night.
Showdown team selection will be at 10 to 6 tomorrow night. So we're just under 24 hours away from that, which we're super excited for. But we have reached the conclusion for our program tonight. We thank you so much for joining us throughout the show. There's been a lot to discuss, but we'll be back from 4 o'clock
Bit of driving with Dixon?
A little bit of driving with Dixon coming up straight after this on 5AA.
Rowey and Timmy G on the 5AA Sports Show.